This has been a severe weather update from CBS 11, your Texas weather experts.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jeff Ray. And Nate, can you go ahead and swap the prompter there? I'm live on Facebook, and we are watching the severe weather outbreak that's going on. First, I want to show you, we're under a tornado watch until 2 a.m., okay? So that's why every thunderstorm is of a concern to us, especially when it starts looking like it's going severe. And just about every thunderstorm that's developed here has gone severe. So let me show you on Lynx 1 now, the radar. There's a couple of warnings out. Now, I'm starting on a big view so you can get the big picture here. So nothing going on in Dallas County, save for just into the northwest corner, but it's been very active in Tarrant County. Now we have a tornado warning for 8:45 for the northern parts of Johnson County and the southern parts of Tarrant County with this thunderstorm that you see moving over towards Manfield and right over the radar site. Then there are reports of 1-inch size hail in Joshua with this one. Now there is another warning out. This warning is out till 9 o'clock, and it is for northern Tarrant County, parts of southern Denton County, and that corner of Dallas County. We do have storm chaser Jason McLaughlin kind of closing down the 35 corridor to get into the path and assess the hail risk from this, because this has also been producing some large hail. That's been the main problem with these thunderstorms. They've been producing hail. We've had a few reports, like near Gainesville, of 2-inch size hail by the Sheriff's Department there. We've had a lot of reports of 1-inch hail and 1.5-inch size hail. So that is damaging hail. So let me stop the motion here and zoom in a little bit closer on a couple of things we're worried about, and that is over by Keller, South Lake, and Grapevine. Very heavy rain going on, and when I switch it over to the hail path, you can see the way it's come out of the Saginaw area. Lake Worth was reporting 1.5-inch size hail, and now has gone over Keller, North Richland Hills, headed towards Grapevine and the airport, and Lake Grapevine as well is in the path of this hail maker, this thunderstorm, severe thunderstorm that is right now the heart over Keller. Now, I don't want to be over alarming, but we have been seeing a circulation ever so slight over here by Bursey Road along North Tarrant Parkway and North Richland Hills. And I'm going to circle it. It's between Hightower, Starnes, Bursey, and North Tarrant Parkway. It's moving off to the east towards Davis Boulevard. So this is just more probably an indication that the storm is rather strong here. The circulation is helping elevate this hail up higher into the hail core, which I'm circling right now. That's where the hail would be. But obviously, we're going to keep a close watch right here for any indication. Remember, we're under a tornado watch until 2 a.m., so it's always going to catch our eye, any kind of circulation on the southern southwest flank of any of these storms. Now, we are seeing these thunderstorms move right over the radar site, and what I can do is change it over to our radar and put up reflectivity. And you can see, now this is our radar out of Parker County, KTVT radar, and you can see the intense thunderstorm that's over by Crawley and Burleson and Cross Timber producing some hail and headed into Everman and Kenningdale, Forest Hill, and Dalworthington Gardens, Mansfield. You're all in the path of this severe thunderstorm. It is moving off to the northeast at about 25 miles an hour, so let me put a track on that, and there's some arrival times for you. There's all the cities, and I can skinny it down to the larger cities. Forest Hill, 8:51. You have about 20 minutes before this hailstorm comes towards you. Kenningdale, 8:52. Mansfield, 9 p.m. And eventually into Dalworthington Gardens and Pantego, as well as southern Arlington, south of the ballpark, or the AT&T Stadium, I should say, where the Cowboys are playing. Again, the two warnings that we're most concerned about at this hour, and really the only warnings going on right now, are these two. Let me clear out that track and let you know that, again, this is the one warning till 9 o'clock. This is the thunderstorm that's over by Keller, North Richland Hills, headed into Grapevine and the airport. The one south of that, this is a warning till 8:45. This is for southern parts of Tarrant County and northern Johnson County. It's also moving off to the northeast and has in its path just parts of Tarrant County and into Dallas County, headed towards Arlington and the lake there. Now, we're going to continue to watch these two thunderstorms with the hail threat, and hail path kind of tells the story. As we can look at the hail path, let me switch it back over to our radar out of Fort Worth that produces that product. There's hail path. We have these two storms. I'll circle them. This is the one that started dropping hail in Granbury. And then over by Crescent, or just south of Crescent, as it moved in towards Tarrant County, Burleson, Crawley area. So that's where the hail has been. That's where it's headed into Forest Hill, Kennendale, Mansfield, and Dalworthing Gardens. Guys, if we can put that monitor in here over to Facebook and I can look at comments, that would be a big help. Now, look at the hail path, the one that was over Lake Worth. This was producing, we were getting reports of 1-inch hail in Lake Worth from that, and then we watched it cross over by Saginaw, and now it's over between Keller, Grapevine, North Richmond Hills here, just towards the west side of the DFW airport between South Lake and Colleyville and the northern part of North Richmond Hills. It's just over by West Lake and to the south of there, and it's headed towards the southern part of the lake, of Grapevine Lake, I should say, and of course moving right over the airport. You can see all the lightning ahead of it, and our storm chaser, Jason McLaughlin, let's look at his shot over on Skype 1, and you can see there the lot of lightning, the very heavy rain. He's not seeing any hail where he is located this moment. That hailstorm is headed towards him. We have another storm chaser out, Mike Pendergrass, and Mike is getting in position over by Plano. He's going to go through Richardson, I believe, and intercept this storm that is closing in on the airport. So we're trying to keep our guys into position for you as these storms have moved into the Metroplex. Earlier in the evening, I had them in position more to the north of the metro area, where it looked like earlier on at least the risk was higher. So that's Mike's shot right now. He's coming down 35 and headed in 75 and headed into Plano. So let's get back to high-resolution radar. Let me put it in motion. We got the two warnings out that include the Metroplex, both sides of Tarrant County, north and south, and now into Dallas County, and soon into southern Dallas County, as this thunderstorm is moving right over the radar site over in Speaks Airport in southern Tarrant County and heading into southern Arlington. Now, the heavy rain and lightning will reach at AT&T Stadium along the I-30 corridor at Six Flags, but the hail looks like it's right now at least going to pass to the south of the stadium as it heads into Dallas County. We'll watch that carefully. The other thing we were watching, as I take the motion off, is the southern part of this storm. Now, when you see a little bit of a leg drop out of the south, it always draws our attention. Remember, we're under a tornado warning until we get to 2 in the morning. You can see this circulation. We haven't had any reports at all of even funnel clouds or anything more than just very strong winds in this area that I've been circling. So it's one of those things we're watching carefully. This is right now that circulation over by Colleyville and South Lake headed towards Grapevine, and it looks like it's going to pass very close to the airport. We're seeing there's a lot of noise with it on CBS 11 Doppler. Can we take that source real quick? And what I'm doing is scanning this storm literally every 10 seconds, okay? So obviously, I'm concerned about this circulation, but you can tell by the tone of my voice, I'm not overly concerned. I'm not seeing any clear signature on these 10-second sweeps we're able to do in the lowest elevations with our Doppler radar that's perched up on the high ground in Parker County and looks perfectly into this storm, perfectly into Tarrant County. But as we look back into the high-resolution velocity on Lynx 1, you can see in the volume scan there is a circulation that can be clearly seen here. And I'll change back over to reflectivity, and it does line up with where you would expect it to be in the reflectivity here. It is breaking up a little bit, and there's the latest scan. They get them about every 2 inches when they're in what they call sales mode, which is just a short scan mode in severe weather that they use so we can get this volume data in a little bit faster. We're talking about extending this warning out. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This warning here, I hate it when I do that. This warning here that is over by Mansfield and Everman and Kenningdale with these strong thunderstorms. This warning, well, that is over headed into Mansfield. They'll probably extend that warning now, I bet, across Arlington and into Dallas County. The way these thunderstorms are looking, we'll change back over to reflectivity out of Spinks, even though it's right over the radar site. Okay, now we have Jason McLaughlin and kind of more in the heart of the storm. Jason looks like he's kind of making a little move here and trying to get a little bit more into the stream. There's his shot. So guessing from his direction, I think now he's looking directly into the path of the storm that's headed towards him. Let's go back to the radar and see if, as we go to Ville density, this is the hail core that's over by Grapevine. Now, I know it's alarming. I'm sampling the size, but keep in mind this is a sampling that is a couple of thousand feet off of the ground. The hail is almost always smaller by the time it reaches the ground than where it is, you know, a quarter mile to half a mile above the surface. So it is probably closer to 1 inch hail here. The warnings are out for 1 inch to 1.5 inch hail, so it seems to be in line with kind of our signature of what we're seeing on the radar. There's the hail core. It's been rather defined, clearly defined, ever since it kind of passed over Lake Worth, and we were getting reports of 1.5 inch hail. And Saginaw reports of 1 inch hail. We're getting reports of hail in Keller, not knowing the size though, but I imagine maybe at least 3/4 inch. And now it's over by Grapevine and Capel, headed towards there. And there's Jason. Okay, so I'll turn off the lightning so you can see where Jason is, and we're going to get some ground truth on this hail here very shortly as I'll switch over to the Ville, which is a little bit of a fresher product. You see how that purple a little closer to Jason, and then we'll check in on him and see what he's reporting. But as we change it back over to reflectivity, the heart of the storm, the heavy rain, and of course the lightning is right over him as well. And as you can see, we'll peek into his shot real quick on the Skype one. That he's into the lightning, no doubt, and the heavy rain, no doubt. He's not where the hail is yet, but he's headed towards there. So as he goes into position and gives us some indication of what's going on, we can be a little bit more forewarning as this is moving now into Louisville, crossing 35, headed towards the Colony, and eventually Frisco, Allen, and Plano as well, where Mike is in position over by Plano. He's well ahead of the thunderstorm. Again, that's kind of my fault. I had him way up towards the north and the northern part of Collin County, where we thought the initialization of the thunderstorms would be more likely just earlier as we were closing the day, but then we had these storms develop right over parts of Parker and Hood County. In fact, let me show you that. I'm going to put in the last 2 hours in motion, so this picks it up at about 6 o'clock, and you can see how quickly we got to warnings and how quickly they got into Tarrant and Wise and Parker, Denton counties as it was moving in from the southwest. Now these northern storms are moving like 55 miles an hour. That was the severe thunderstorms that were going over Cook County. That cell was ripping along heading into Oklahoma, and there was a report of 2 inch hail in Gainesville from that. And then here just in the last hour, it's been mostly the worst of it, it seems, down across southern Tarrant County. Where you can see northern Tarrant County, there's a big thunderstorm, severe thunderstorm going into Louisville now, crossing 35. And headed into Carrollton and northern parts of Carrollton, the southern parts of the Colony. That's where we have Jason right now, our storm chaser, Jason McLaughlin. And there's that circulation. It's going very close over by the airport. I'll circle what I'm talking about. And right over, looks like Main Street in downtown Grapevine from that look. It is still very disorganized. I'll circle it again. Let me clear that. It's not very organized and probably more more an indication of the strength of the thunderstorm and the updrafts it can produce in the large hail than it is of a possible tornado threat. We are under a tornado watch until 2 a.m. for all of North Texas, save for Anderson County. And this is going on by South Lake and Grapevine, and soon we will be getting a report from the airport. They update every 6 minutes on what kind of wind they're seeing at the airport. And we'll check in there and see what that circulation did there. I'm going to change it back over to intensity on our radar and judge this hail core. Yeah, it's right over the airport. This is going to probably be the biggest rain we've had at the airport, I bet, in 60 days. So bring you up to date. I'll zoom out on links. We have a couple of warnings out. Yeah, okay, there's the warning. Now, we were thinking they were going to extend this warning. This is a new thunderstorm. Warning expires at 9:30. It does include northern parts of Ellis County, southern parts of Dallas County, southern parts of Tarrant County, southern Arlington, and just in towards that northwest corner of Johnson County over by the Mansfield area and south. That's where some intense rain and some hail is. It looks like, judging from it, we'll switch over to our radar, which we're waiting for an update on. It looks like that the strongest part of the thunderstorm is crossing 35W and has crossed now and headed into Kennedale, Mansfield, and eventually into Duncanville and Cedar Hill and Grand Prairie and southern Arlington. I'm not so worried about the hail getting up towards where the game is going on in Arlington. It looks like it's going to pass more around Mansfield and to the south, and quite honestly, right now at least, the hail core isn't looking that impressive. Well, I'll tell you which one is the one that's over Grapevine Lake and Jason McLaughlin's path. It is going to literally move right over him. I know Jason is listening in and watching this approach him, so he might want to find a place here where he can get a little shelter as it moves over. The Storm Prediction Center and the local forecast office here in Fort Worth are talking about these supercells that have formed well ahead of an approaching cold front that won't really be here till midnight. And when it does so, it'll probably produce a squall line. But they're having trouble, these cells, maintaining their strength, but they should have... there is a chance they could continue to be pretty strong. Now, we're still worried about wind, hail, and tornadoes from these as well. And Jason, we were talking, we've been looking in on his shot. He was just in that blinding rain earlier. Now the hail core kind of approaching him as well. We're looking at his shot in the bottom left, and you can see in purple there that hail core. And Stuart, if we can turn any of his video, did you get some of that video? I'm talking to our producer, Stuart McKenzie. Yeah, hopefully we'll show you some video of some hail he shot just about 30 minutes ago from the storm that, well, it was this storm when it was over parts of southern Denton County. We'll wait to get the latest of them. So there again is that hail core that has been over by Grapevine Lake and the airport. Let me sample it. Now, again, it's going to show a frightening size, tennis ball size, but it's not that big by the time it gets to the ground. Would not be surprised at all that we're going to get reports of 1-inch hail. I was telling you earlier of the large hail that was reported in Gainesville, and they have confirmed that. They confirmed 3-inch size hail just to the northwest of Gainesville, that really fast-moving storm that was up there. So we have that video now. This is from Jason McLaughlin earlier, and you can see the hail that's in with the rain falling, bouncing off the parking lot there where he is underneath a shelter at a gas station, and you can see it populating there on the pavement. That's hail. We were talking on the phone just after he got that, and he was, he was reporting that there were some pieces of hail that were close to 1 inch, but most of this was quarter size or smaller as it was coming over, just pelting these cars, as you can tell. Great video, Jason, great video. And he's probably going to get some more here coming in as he's now positioned himself to be into the hail core of this one. Let's check in with the storm that's just down to the south by Mansfield. I'll put it in motion. This is the last 45 minutes. I think what we'll see is it die down and then pick back up. Yeah, they're kind of pulsing back up, and you can also tell by the lightning that the lightning count went down, and then all of a sudden it went up again, and that's a sign that the ice is circulating in this storm. Now, this is the one over by Mansfield and the lake, Joe Pool, and it is going to continue to march towards Cedar Hill and DeSoto and Duncanville and Lancaster. This could be producing hail now. They were reporting quarter-size hail about 30 minutes ago in Johnson County when it was actually ramping down, and now it is ramped back up there. So we could get right back into some large hail. This is some sampling showing inside the storm again. A couple of thousand feet up at least was hail an inch and a half in diameter, which is pretty large hail, but it's not that big when it comes down to the ground. I know we've been looking at Ville for a while. Let's change back over reflectivity. That's what you're used to. Let's check in with that circulation because it's now approaching and moving over the airport in Farmers Branch. I haven't gotten any reports of wind gusts out of DFW Airport as of yet. But as I look at velocity, you know, it's a broad rotation. Again, this is more an indication of just a strong thunderstorm that's been able to keep some strong updrafts going on and producing this hail. We'll watch it. As I'm prone to repeat, we're under a tornado watch until 2 a.m. There have been no reports of tornadoes, and signatures have not been very clear of any threat of tornadoes as well. They are watching that one that I've been talking about this rotation, this one over by the airport. And the reason they're talking about a little bit more is that this is where the hail would be. The heavy rain would be out ahead of it. A lot of lightning around the hail core. And this is the little tail that sometimes forms on the southwest flank of it, the tail of a moving thunderstorm, a classic hook signature trying to form but not quite. And it's been that story, really, I'll tell you, I've been looking at that since it was around Saginaw. And now here it is at the airport. Nothing has happened with it yet. So as we continue to look at the velocity of it, I'll drop lightning and we'll put this in motion. And you can see this circulation right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. Can you see it? Can you see it? Here, let me help you out. There it is by Saginaw. That's when I first started noticing it. Now, look at that area. And this is at just after 8 o'clock. All right, so now let's move forward about 45 minutes. Look at over by Watauga. See how clear the circulation is? Look at over by the Grapevine. See how it breaks apart a little bit? And now we get over by the airport, and the latest signature, it breaks apart even more. So I was kind of, at least certainly looking at it here, but now that it's looking like that, I'm even less concerned about it. But that's what we do here. We watch on the radars, these thunderstorms develop. Now it is kind of reshaping, so it could just kind of intensify again as we put up on lightning. Let's put that in motion and see, is the lightning core starting to fire up again? As it goes into Carrollton, into Louisville, it looks like it took a little pulse there up in lightning activity. So there's another indication that, you know, we need to be watching it. And Mike Pendergrass, just like Jason, seasoned veteran storm chaser, is putting himself in position now, probably to get a little south of this, a little south of this area right here, and see it come right in front of him, right over by Farmers Branch and Richardson, and try to keep an eye on it to see if it becomes a threat. Because if we have a hook on the radar, and we don't really, I mean, not really, but if we get one that's a little bit more clear than what we've been seeing, and that velocity looks a little bit cleaner, then we would, of course, be major concerned and probably go live on air with that. That is something that I'm not worried about right now. So we're continuing the warning for Dallas, Denton, and Tarrant County, 9 o'clock. That's the one with 1-inch hail. And the 1-inch hail has been, there have been reports of it. It is now, as we take a look at it and look right at the hail path, you can see this is the one we've been tracing across parts of Tarrant County and over by the airport. Stuart, we did turn that video, so thank you for that. And where should we send? We have another. Yeah, we have another one out. Oh, we have Caroline is out. Yeah, okay. So we have our reporter out, and we're trying to position there as well. Where's Caroline now?
She's in the Dallas Tower.
She's in our newsroom. So what she needs to do is go west on 620, 635. Sorry, I always do that. I used to live in Houston, and head towards the west and watch that storm pass to the north. So if there's any damage, she'll be very close, and that way I'll be able to keep Mike on the signature itself. Okay. All right. So sorry, you're just hearing these conversations that go on all evening long or during these severe weather outbreaks all the time. And Stuart, can you see if they can change over to Facebook on this monitor so I can start monitoring comments over there? We have to have, we're trying to move all these chess pieces, right, to get into the correct place. Now we're seeing the lightning get out ahead of the hail core. Let me check into reflectivity. So we're checking in with these thunderstorms. Let's check in with Jason McLaughlin. We're live on Facebook. Jason, we've been watching your signal. Looks like you're still in the heavy rain.
I am, Jeff. We're getting some pretty strong wind. I'd say 30 to 40 out of the north right now. And we're also starting to get some hail here in Carrollton. Just T-size right now, nothing too large, but we're just now starting to get into the heavier part of the storm here.
Oh yeah, we've been tracking you, Jason. We've been talking about you for the last 15 minutes because your position had you, you were perfectly positioned. Oh wow, we've lost your signal because you're in that heavy rain, but you were perfectly positioned to get into that hail core. So we were very curious on the size of the hail that you would be reporting there as it was approaching right over you. So we'll continue. Yeah, we'll continue Facebook on that one, Nate. Yeah. So we'll continue to kind of check in with you. The wind is definitely picking up. I can see it. Yeah, you're into the squall. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm facing south, so with some of the stronger winds, the hail's hitting more in the back of the car, so you can't really see it right now. It's still just a little bit bigger than a small pea size, and I'll zoom in on the road here, and you can start to see some of the hail starting to fall as well.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Nothing too large, but we're going to keep watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. The heart of the hail core is, hopefully your GPS signal will come up on the radar again here shortly. It's always difficult that signal out when the ice is right over you, but that looks like you're still got the worst of the storm bearing down upon you, but you're in perfect position the way it is. Let's check, Jason, stay on the line, and let's check in with Mike Schott real quick, because Mike is now looking at that storm, heading towards it. It's over just to his right, ready to cross over by Farmer's Branch. He's seeing the impressive lightning that is with that storm. Do you see it? It's going on. Nate, thank you for the water. Okay. We are seeing impressive lightning with that. That's always a sign that we're getting some pretty good hail with that. Colby's here. Not yet? Okay, he's got to watch my batteries because I go on and on and on with this. And Nate just brought me some water. All right, now they're going to have a new thunderstorm warning out now that includes Collin County. And it is, again, because of the threat of 1-inch hail. Now, they've also watched these winds pick up, and that new warning is coming out shortly, and it'll include the chance for some 1-inch hail. And Jason, just so you know, you're not the only one. They are reporting nickel-size hail right where you are as well. So within a couple of, not even a half mile from your location, there's other reports that confirm what we're looking at right now. Is the wind picking up? It looks like it is a little bit.
It is. It's picking up. It's kind of starting to change direction. It's more out of the west at this time. So kind of the wind's just swirling here. And also I'm on the west side of I-35. So I'm sure you're going to get a little bit of deflection of wind off of that as well.
Yeah, and there's some emergency response going on, going down the interstate. I imagine we're starting to, soon we're going to get a little hail damage, or maybe they're going a little bit further west where the hail's been bigger.
Yeah, right now it's raining, and the camera makes it brighter than it probably is. I mean, it is just coming down right now, Jeff.
Oh, I can tell, because visibilities, Jason, have really dropped just since we've been looking at your spot, at your shot here in the last minute, because we've been looking out in the distance, and I can tell there by the interstate that visibilities have dropped as the rain intensity has increased. So that's usually an indication that we're getting closer and closer to the bigger part of the hail core. Also indication, you see that pulsing of the wind and the picking up of the wind, as well as some of that circulation that hail is creating is starting to get pulled down to the surface. So we'll continue to watch in on your shot, and let's box that up, guys, and let's put that in a box, and I'm going to show you this hail core that we have been tracking now as it moved across Tarrant County, Saginaw, Watauga, Keller, and having some circulation with it. And it's still a pretty intense hail core. In fact, if anything, it's gotten stronger as it moved over by Capel and Carrollton and Farmers Branch. So this has been continuing to also put out reports of at least quarter-size hail. That's what we were getting in Capel there, of quarter-size hail. And then what you just heard from our storm chaser, Jason McLaughlin, as it was approaching, he's just now entering the hail core. It was more like pea and nickel size and continuing to kind of intensify a little bit. So we'll continue to watch that. All right. What we're going to do, we've been watching all this happen, and Jason, we're going to leave your call here real quick and just watch your shot. Thank you for your report. And what we want to do is actually take a break here from coverage. We, of course, have tried to do our best to keep you well informed of these hailstorms that have been moving over Tarrant County and now into Dallas and Collin County and parts of southern Denton County, as well as parts of Ellis County. There's a warning out till 9:30 on this storm that's over by Mansfield. There is been a new warning out now for Collin County and northern Dallas County. That's until 10 o'clock. And that is, the worst of that is actually in Plano and Allen, and that is where we have been keeping our storm chasers watching that storm. There has been some circulation in with this, but there hasn't been any indication of a tornado threat other than seeing something on the radar indicating maybe more a strong thunderstorm. But it looks like these cells are starting to fill in a little bit and that line come in. Now we'll look a little bit further off towards the west because there's a cold front out here. You can see over by Wichita Falls. I'll put that in motion. And this cold front, I'll change over to radars. This cold front will probably produce around midnight a line of thunderstorms that'll be moving in across the Metroplex. So that's going to be later tonight. These storms have formed well ahead of the cold front, and we're producing hail and some stronger winds as they're doing so. We'll continue to follow this very closely. You know, we're not going to leave. We're going to stay on air. There is now a tornado warning out for Dallas until 9:30 p.m. And this is that same circulation that we've been talking about this whole time, that is ever since Saginaw, and now it is over by Love Field. Let's put up velocity in the latest one. And do you see it? I mean, do you see it right there? This is south of Farmers Branch. Jason is headed that way right now. I'm going to circle it. I'll drop the lightning. This is where the tornado warning is out, right there. That is a radar indicated tornado. We're not getting any confirmation on it at all. We're seeing it on radar, so no ground confirmation on it. But it's just that as that cell I was telling you was changing shape, they issued a tornado warning on it. We have our storm chaser, Jason McLaughlin, who is headed right in towards that circulation right now. He'll get in right behind it. The tornado warning is until 9:30, and it does include all of Dallas, or I should say all of Dallas County. It is encompassed inside Dallas County. So it goes all across the loop into Garland and Sunnyvale and over to the edge of Rockwall. So, and it's all because of this warning, of this circulation right here. This is why there's a tornado warning out. So this is near Walnut Hill Lane. This is near Harry Hines Boulevard, near the spur there, spur 12, where it comes in. And that circulation is right over that little industrial park area that is on the west side of the interstate of 35, and now just to the south of the loop, headed towards down Walnut Hill Lane. That's, I think the chiropractic school is Parker, that's kind of right in the path. This circulation, again, I will circle it again. I'll show you what has happened with it over the last 5 minutes. It kind of came together. Boom, boom, there. Do you see it? See what happened? I'll do that again. Dun, 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 there. So that is obviously a concern when the circulation comes together. Sirens are going on now in the city of Dallas, in North Dallas, because of this rotation that we're picking up on radar. So this is between 35E, US 75, inside of 635. The sirens are going off because the rotation route is almost right on top of Love Field. That DFW wind speed, by the way, was 40 miles an hour, so it was not that impressive. So I'm going to switch our radar over now into that area right over Love Field and start seeing if we can pick up the circulation. Now, the problem is that we've got to shoot across downtown Fort Worth, so I've got to increase the elevation a little bit as we go over there. Let me increase also the scan so it can go more over it. But this is a rotation that we have been seeing really ever since part of, it was over Tarrant County, but it just kind of reformed and now is a little bit more intense. Again, I'll stress, we do not have any reports of a tornado on the ground, but we are starting to see indications now of debris. So let me just talk into the control room that we'll need to go in onto air and cover a commercial break. And if we can arrange that to cover this tornado and this signature now that we are getting of rotation and also of some debris that's maybe getting kicked up. We have Jason McLaughlin trying to come in off from the north of it, and let's call into Jason and see if he. It's nighttime, so it's very difficult to see anything, but he is so close. Jason, we're live on Facebook. Can you tell me what you're seeing?
Hey Jeff, I've got power flashes going on just south of of 635, indicating there is either a tornado or some sort of very strong wind that is occurring down in that area at this time. And again, that's probably 1 to 2 miles south of 635 and just east now of I-35, and I'm fixing to turn that direction.
We do now have a confirmed tornado over Dallas Love Field moving east at 25 miles an hour. So Mike, I want you to, Mike's in front of it, Jason, so I want Mike, yeah, he's going to pass a little south of it and let it come over him to let it go past him to the north as he drops down on the loop. And Jason, you're in good position to come in right behind it over here at Love Field. Let me give everybody a heads up. We have a tornado on the ground near Love Field going to the east at 25 miles an hour. That would put it in Highland Park by 9:19. And Rawlings 9:25. You're getting a little too close there. Jason, stop.
Okay, Jeff, I've got strong north winds on the backside of it. I do have some sort of debris that is
I see it.
Big at this time.
Okay.
A very strong northerly wind indicating this tornado is just in front of me. I guess if it's still down within a couple of miles at absolute most.
Yeah, I can confirm that on radar, that we do have it just literally right there in front of you. And I'm going to put in a tighter path in the track of it, because what we're most concerned about is telling everyone ahead of this to get in your safe place. There is a confirmed tornado on the ground headed towards Inwood. It's going to be there in about 8 minutes. Highland Park, 9:21. Rawlins, about 9:29. Richardson, if it holds together, 9:33. But let's just worry about this next 15 minutes. We do have a tornado on the ground near Love Field. The strongest rotation and the debris just north of Love Field, northwest Dallas and Preston Hollow, almost in the direct path. The strongest rotation now approaching the Dallas North Tollway, just a few miles south of 635. And we'll continue to keep your shot. Let's put your shot up, Jason, as well, because Jason is looking north into this storm.
Due east. I'm right behind the area of circulation now, approximately 2 miles east of I-35 on 635, and as you can tell, the rain curtains are really whipping out of the north on the back side of this area of circulation at this time.
Yes, Jason, we see it. And what I meant to say is you were just north of the circulation, and Mike Pendergrass is just south of the circulation. He's going to let it pass right in front of him. He is also trying to get a shot as you are into the storm. We'll probably need a few flashes in order to see anything. Has there been any effort on trying to go onto cover break? Nate?
You good?
Yeah, we're trying to get on air with this tornado on the ground near Love Field now, just to the east of Love Field. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We're working on efforting that, and here on Facebook Live, we'll be joining you on air as we switch over to that. So we're under a tornado watch at 2 a.m., and for the first time this evening, we are seeing, we want to thank everybody on 21. Sorry to jump in here, but we wanted to warn you of a tornado that has been confirmed near Love Field. Now, as we are live here on 21, you can see the rotation rather clearly off to the east, and that we are getting confirmations of power flashes near North Park Mall. We're getting reports from Jason McLaughlin of power flashes as he looks south into the storm. Mike Pendergrass is getting in position, and if we can take...
That's from Mike.
That's from Mike. So Mike is reporting the power flashes. He is seeing it. So let's take, is that Mike's shot? Can you see it? Yeah, okay, we'll get a few flashes there. We can make out some circulation there. Let's try to get Mike on the phone and talk to him. And Jason, have you seen anything at all? I know it's dark and it's very difficult to see anything that's made out here. But are you...
Right now, the rain, I'm on the backside of the rain curtain. I've had winds in the last, I'd say 20, 30 seconds, probably gusting closer to 50 to 60 out of the north. So I'm really close to the backside, but it's raining so hard, it's obscuring any type of definition of seeing a funnel, of even seeing lightning. I am seeing flashes just off to the north side. It looks like a 635. We're right on 635 there south of Addison. I think probably maybe 2 miles at most in front of me at this time.
Okay, yeah, it's crossed over, it looks like, the tollway, and now, headed towards 75. So this is by Meadow Road, Tulane Boulevard, over in the Metters area. It's going to cross Highway 289 at Azalea Lane and continue down Tulip Lane as it heads towards Hillcrest here. So this appears to be the circulation crossing the tollway, headed towards 75. So as we'll pan out just a little bit further, keep in in mind, this thing, the last report is that it was moving off to the east. Let me just look at it for the last couple of scans, and it looks like there's just a little bit of a northeast to it, moving at about 25 miles an hour as it heads off. Let me get rid of that one, zoom out a little bit more. So as I zoom out a little bit more, you can make out the circulation even better. Again, this was a confirmed tornado with debris over by Love Field, moving at 25 miles an hour off to the east. As we just show you the main cities in its path, Richardson at 9:25. Please go to your safe place. Please go to your safe place in Garland and Saxe. You have about a few minutes.
Power flickering now, Jeff. I am south. Well, you see my location on radar. I've got power flickering here on 635.
Put up Jason's shot.
That happened in the westbound lane, and all traffic there has now stopped. And I think I'm too close. I'm at the tollway. I'm going to go ahead and slow down here and let this move on to the east.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is the traffic.
Power has now went out in front of me, directly with me right behind the back side of that. Power has now gone out between University Park and the southeast side of Addison. I'm fixing to move into that dark area, but again, power is now out in this area.
Okay, Jason, hold on just a second. We're going to join everybody live on CBS 11. We've been on TV 21 and on Facebook Live. Now we're going to join on CBS 11 as soon as I get a countdown, because we are now on CBS 11. Good evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jeff Race. We are breaking into programming because we have a confirmed tornado that has crossed over by Love Field that is now headed towards 75 between the tollway, the Dallas North Tollway 75. Our storm chasers are on both sides of it. Our storm chaser Jason McLaughlin is just to the north of it. Our storm chaser Mike Pendergrass is just to the south of it. I will now circle where we think the tornado is on the ground, headed towards Gifford, headed down Royal Lane. We have seen power flashes. We have seen debris. We have seen all indications of a tornado on the ground, and it is moving east at about 30 miles an hour. Let me zoom out a little bit more and give you a track on this dangerous situation. I need people to take shelter if you are in the path of this tornado. It is moving off now, picking up a little bit of speed. It is going off to the east. As we narrow down the list here into the major cities, heads up into Richardson, University Park. You have just a few minutes to get into your safe space. We have Garland at 9:31, Saxe at 9:39. Again, I need you in your safe location at your home, because we have this tornado that is moving now over 75. We have Mike Pendergrass, who is just to the south of it, looking up into the storm. We have, there he is. Mike, what are you seeing right now?
I'm at 75 in Walnut Hill, and I can see power flashes just a few.
He is seeing power flashes.
35, kind of in that corridor.
Yeah, so Mike is looking right, he is directly looking right north into the tornado, seeing power flashes, an indication that the circulation is still on the ground. So now this has been going on. Yeah, let's take Jason's shot. Jason, what are you looking at right now? Your shot broke out, but tell me what you're looking at.
This tornado, I got a feeling, is less than a mile to my southeast. There was just a huge power flash right here, just I'm right at 75 and 635. The power, as you can tell, just went out, and there's power flashes just to the south of 635. If we watch it, you'll get to see it. And yeah, it's right in front of me, Jeff.
Yeah, and by radar, you're right, Jason. It's not more than a mile from you to the southeast.
Oh, there it is, Jeff.
There it is. I can see it. I can see it. Mike, are you seeing this from the south side, looking up towards the north? Mike, are you still on the phone?
Coming up a hill now.
Okay.
I can see where I can see the wall south. I can see
All right, we've got the striations. Yeah, it's just to my southeast, Jeff.
Yes.
It has crossed 75, I believe. You show that?
Yes,
Confirm that?
it has now passed 75, heading down Whitehurst and Forest Lane.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So-
I am, this is 75 over top, so power is completely out here in the city. I am nearing Greenville Avenue.
Okay. Yeah, so we can see it there. Hold on just a second, Jason. Mike Pendergrass, our storm chaser, has put himself in perfect position as well. Mike, what are you seeing right now?
I'm at 75 in Meadow. I'm on the service road. All the lights are out right here. I can see the wall cloud. I just saw another power flash just to my north. I'm coming up towards Royal, and I can tell. I can't see the tornado because of the buildings, but I can tell that that's where it would be. It's just to my north.
Okay, yes. Thank you for that report, Mike. You've put yourself in perfect position, as so has Jason McLaughlin. They're on both sides of this tornado on the ground. It is headed towards southern part of Richardson. It is headed towards Garland. Please seek your safe spot right now, as this is approaching off to the east, moving off to the east at about 30 miles an hour. White Rock 926, Garland 930, Centerville 933. That's only less than 15 minutes of reaction time.
Jeff, do I have you?
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Hey, where am I at on radar in respect to this thing?
It has dogleg just a little bit up towards the northeast on you. You need to stop. You need to stop and let it.
I've got debris. Here it is. It's
Yeah.
here, Jeff.
Yeah, you were so close to it, Jason. It is now over by.
Here it is, Jeff. It's here.
Yeah, you are.
Stay with me. The tornado is just to
There it is.
south. It's not over me. Here it is, tornado.
There it is, the tornado on the ground. We're watching live shot from Jason McLaughlin of the debris from this tornado as it is crossing over by the freeway near Greenville Avenue, moving off to the east. Traffic still on the road there. Everybody needs to pull over, and we're watching this tornado pass over. Jason's location's actually just in front of him as it's moving over. Mike is now coming up from the south. He's going to come up and get behind the circulation.
Coming, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, it's wobbled. It's wobbled back to the northwest just a little bit.
Yes, it has.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, it has.
No. It's just to my north now. It's on right over 635, and traffic is coming in both directions at this. There's debris filling the sky. Oh, no, Jeff. No, here it comes. There it is, Jeff. It's in front. Oh, no, it's passing 635.
It's going right over 635 right now. There we are. There is a tornado on the ground crossing the interstate. Jason, you got so close to it.
Okay. Oh, goodness. It's a big tornado, Jeff.
Jason,
It's a big tornado.
I need you to try to pass a little bit to the southeast if you dare. You're pointing.
Now past, it's gone. I can't get
Okay.
it went right over 635, and it's moving north, Jeff.
Yes, okay. We're seeing now on the delay, Jason, that it basically moved almost right over you. So as I zoom down on the radar.
Within 1 mile.
Yeah, I can see that now on the radar. You're right. It took a little. It took a little jog to the northwest as it was headed towards you. Mike is right behind it. Let me put a track on it with this new destination that is taken a little bit now more to the northeast. So I'm going to put it at about 30 miles an hour as a destination. Let's do the fan out a little bit narrower, that in the base a little bit narrow as well. A tornado on the ground near Richardson, headed off to the east-northeast at 30 miles an hour. There are some arrival times for you. We'll skinny down the list to the bigger cities. Garland, 9:33. You have basically 9 minutes to get into shelter. Saxe, 9:39. Murphy, 9:40. You are in the path of an approaching tornado on the ground that is moving across Richardson right now as it is.
Oh, no.
cross 635, you can see all the traffic and all the debris that has caused with the tornado moving over the highway there. There's 8 lanes in both directions, plus the tollway. We are seeing damage, car damage. I think that Jason is showing us right now that is on the inside lane at 635 there near the bridge. And
hey, Jeff, the tornado, if you're still with me, Jeff, tornado sitting just north of 635. It's less than a mile away from me.
I can
just to my north. I'm going to pull it back. Oh, and we've got more damage there as well.
There it is.
Situation, but that is the tornado right there.
I'm going to circle it on the radar that what Jason is seeing. Jason is right here on the interstate. It is just to the north of him now. It's crossing Greenville Avenue now. It is going to be in Richardson. It is going to cross Plano Road near Richardson and in the Baltimore Centennial Boulevard area. This is where the tornado will be in just a few minutes as it continues to move off to the east-northeast over by Birch Lane, Walnut Street, and Centennial Boulevard. Jason McLaughlin, our storm chaser, is looking at it. He is still in the debris field in the wake of it, and we have seen damage of this tornado, from this tornado, as it continues to head here across Dallas County. The warning continues until 10. The tornado can be seen still clearly on radar.
Are you okay?
You see the damage by the truck hit by a tornado winds. He's waving that he's okay. Yeah, we're getting the thumbs up from him, thank goodness. There's going to be a lot of damage like this up and down 635. As you can see, there is a lot of debris as well as cars off to the side. He is in the path of this tornado as it crossed over, and now this tornado over by Greenfield Avenue, Walnut Street, and headed into Richardson. If you live in the city of Richardson, in Dallas County, I need you to take shelter immediately. We have a tornado.
Stay east with this or back off?
Jason, I think what you're going to need to do is, if you can get on South Greenville Avenue, try to follow it to the northeast if you can. And Mike, you're kind of in that same position. Let's try to stay behind it and follow the damage trail from this tornado. It looks like it's reorganizing. It's hard to tell now on the signature. Let's wait for the latest signature of it and see what it's doing this moment. We'll change it over to relative velocity. We're still seeing a circulation now south of Walnut Street. Mike, I'm looking at your shot to see what's going on there. Let's get Mike Pendergrass, our storm chaser, back on the phone. And Mike, it looks like this tornado might have loosened and then is kind of redeveloping a little further to the south. It's hard to tell. Mike?
Okay, I'm on Forest Lane just north at 635. I'm not seeing power flashes at the moment, but I can still see it on radar, and there's a lot of power out just on the south side of 635 as well.
Yeah, okay. So we're south of 635 on 30. What road are you on right now, Mike?
I'm on north of 635 on Forest.
Yeah, okay.
Or I guess west.
You're on Forest Lane. I see you now. Okay.
Yeah.
And Jason, what's your current location?
635 and Gilman.
Okay. Yeah, you're approaching Gilman.
Hold on a second. There's a tornado. Tornado on camera, Jeff. There it is.
I'm seeing it off to your left. It's hard to make out, of course, because of the darkness.
A big white funnel.
Okay.
There it is. Pretty clearly right now.
It is moving towards Walnut Street and Plano Road, just to the north of Forest Lane. That's where Mike Pendergrass, he's on Forest Lane looking again just to the north into the circulation. Jason is also now off to the south. There's our latest information on velocity. Of course, again, what we always look for is where the greens are right next to the reds. The circulation looks a little broader now, Jason and Mike. It looks...
No, I've got a very defined tornado.
Yes.
I zoomed in. We should see it better now.
Yeah, I think it's bigger now. I think that's what's going on.
It's getting bigger. I actually think I think a satellite tornado, Jeff. I do not think that is actually the main mesocyclone. I do believe that is, when I say satellite, that's a second tornado.
I think you're
just
right.
off to the southeast.
And look at that, Mike, Jason, just as you say that, we get the latest velocity data that shows that a circulation that is now down to the southeast of Garland, and then this other one that's over by Richardson that you are looking at. So there is a possibility of two circulations now. We'll zoom out. We do have tornado warnings that are out on this storm till 9:30, and now a new one that's out till 10 o'clock that includes parts of Collin County, southern Collin County, and Jason and Mike are kind of now split in between two circulations. This circulation up towards the north, this one I'm putting an X on, this is the one we know was a tornado and has been a tornado on the ground.
There it is. Give me 1 second there.
There,
It is starting to roll bounce up.
yeah, we can see it now. We can see that. This is a common occurrence that when you start seeing a second circulation, the one to the south will kind of take over. This one, is, as Jason was saying, was roping out. Jason, you're looking just north, right? This is...
I am. It has now dissipated, but if you'll look right there, here is a new area that is forming pretty quickly, too. So we
Yes.
could have a decent, potential of another tornado in that location here shortly.
So what Jason is saying is that the one that we were tracking on the ground weakened. A new one is forming literally right next to it to its southeast. The one in Garland seems to, here in the last one, kind of lost some of its rotation. Perhaps that energy now going towards this circulation. Let's zoom in a little bit closer while we're waiting for ground truth. This is over between Centennial Boulevard and Walnut Street, approaching Plano Road and Baltimore Drive and North Jupiter Road. You're in the path of this as it is continuing to head right down Buckingham Road and the Plano Road intersection. This is just to the south of East Beltline Road, where it crosses over by Plano Road. This is a circulation that's being picked up by a radar, and that we have our people on looking at it. Mike's going to get into reposition here and try to follow it as Jason finds himself into position on this circulation as well. Let us treat it like a tornado, because that's what they have been. They have been moving off to the east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. Let me redo that as I zoom out a little bit. And now this rotation is becoming a little bit clearer. As we track it out at that 30 miles an hour, you can see that Richardson, it is on top of you, and Garland at 9:36. We have this tornado approaching you from the west. You can see Rowlett, 9:45. Everybody that you see listed here, I need you in your safe place. This is a possible tornado kind of spinning back up. Here it kind of had a little moment where it got down, and now it is coming back. We've lost Jason's signal as he's trying to shoot to this. Mike? Okay, Mike, we got you back. Jason, hold on a second. Mike, tell me what you're seeing.
Really large power flash, and I can see the cone extending down just to my, I would say just to my northeast.
It's just to your north on the radar, Mike. You're very close. You are still on Forest Lane, it looks like, and it looks like it's crossing Plano Road right now, headed towards North Jupiter Road. If you're in this area around Buckingham Road in North Jupiter, or Shylock Road, North Shiloh Road at Buckingham, I need you in your safe place. Apollo Road, and then soon at the George Bush Highway there at the interstate, of course, as it crosses over into Saxey. I need everybody in this general region into your safe place. We think there is another tornado, or the same tornado, that is pressing on past Plano Road. We're seeing power flashes by our storm spotters. That is usually an indication that we have a circulation, a tornado on the ground. Let us again put a track on this dangerous situation so you can give you as much heads up as possible. We have a possible tornado on the ground. Tornado warnings are out. It is moving 30 miles to an hour over off to the east will skinny down both the width and the fan, so we have a little bit better of a track on this. And you can see Saxe 943, Murphy 944 heads up. It's right over Richardson now and passing off to the southeast of the town of Richardson, headed towards Saxe. Garland, you're in the path of this. It's in the northern part of Garland, 937. You have just a few minutes now to get into your safe location as this tornado is approaching. This has been a tornado that's been on the ground somewhere since Love Field, is the best we can tell. It has continued to move right across Dallas County. It has been producing damage. We saw car damage on 635 as it rolled across the interstate, and it rolled across 75, and now as it goes over by Richardson. Mike Pendergrass has been looking at this directly north of him. He has been on Forest Lane, now traveling north on Jupiter Road, where it looks like it's crossing over by Jupiter Road at West Buchanan Road in this general area, North Shiloh, Apollo Road, and of course the President George Bush President Freeway, the 630 there, is also in the path from this as it heads in towards Saxe. Saxe, you've got about 15 minutes as this approaches in from your southwest. This circulation has been quite clear on the radar. Our storm spotters have been in ideal locations looking at this storm. Jason, why don't you swing around up towards Garland and again try to pick it up from the south like Mike is seeing it as well as it's passing off to the east, northeast at about 35 miles an hour. So circulation is over by Jupiter Road. This is north of the campus of UTD right now, University of Texas at Dallas, just north, and they are reporting some debris in the path of this. They're saying the National Weather Service is that the circulation has weakened slightly, but this has been a tornado that's been on the ground now at least 30 minutes started up by Love Field. So it's been on the ground for a while, unfortunately, right in the heart of Dallas County. And they are continuing the tornado warning. We do have thunderstorm warnings out for we are continuing thunderstorm warnings out, I should say, for Collin, Dallas County for these thunderstorms that are up to the north. I'll zoom out and just show you that just real quick, and you can see that is all because of the heavy rain and the hail that's over by Saxe. The hail path from that storm, this is the same storm that has been producing the tornado. Up to the north is the hail core, and you can see it's been over from Grapevine, Farmers Branch, Carlton, Richardson. It is now headed towards Saxe, Rockwall, and Fate. This has been large hail that's now headed into Garland, but the story continues to be the circulation with this, the tornado that has been reported with this. You can see Mike again is getting himself into really close proximity to it as it's passed over North Jupiter Road, now over North Shiloh Road in Dallas County, and headed basically down Beltline and off towards the north-northeast. Beltline goes directly east. The tornado is moving north-northeast, headed up towards North Garland Avenue and across the Interstate 635 as it heads towards Saxe and Pleasant Valley. Let's check in with Mike Pendergrass if we have him on the phone and see what Mike is reporting. Mike, do we have you?
Yes, yeah. I'm here. I'm north on Jupiter right now. And I'm in the rain core now. I'm not seeing the circulation like I was earlier because I'm in the rain core, so I'm kind of slowing down, letting it get ahead of me.
Yeah, they're just, I want to say the circulation is weaker, but that has fooled us before. The rotation is heading into the city of Garland as it crosses the interstate here in the next 5 minutes or so. Mike, don't get too much closer. You are very close to the circulation. You're hidden both by darkness and heavy rain. We see a lot of light flashes here where this possible tornado is. The tornado warning will continue now for Collin County. Of course, it goes on till 10 p.m. A confirmed tornado located near Richardson, moving northeast now at 25 miles an hour. This is the one we've been talking about. I'll zoom it out a little bit closer. Let's take Mike off of the map just for a moment so we can put a track on it. It is going to head into its north part of Garland. It's going to head into Saxe as we put a path on it moving off towards the east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. Well, we'll continue to track this. It has been producing damage as it has moved across Dallas County. There is some places, Saxe 945 and Wiley 955. I know you guys, especially in Wiley, have done your tornado drills over the years, and I need you to do it now. Get those kids into safe places. Get the whole family and the pets into a safe place. You have an approaching tornado getting ready to cross 635 into Saxe. It's in parts of Garland, just past through Richardson. It is North Garland now where it's at, and moving into Saxe, into Wiley, and south of Murphy. It is passing to the south of Plano on the other side of the county line in Dallas County, and it will pass to the north of Rowlett as it continues to move almost east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. We'll put our spotters back on as we can see both Mike and Jason have been following the storm very well. We have continued to see them in the right position. It seems at always the right time, giving us valuable information on how this storm is doing and how fast it is moving and what they are actually seeing on the ground. As we have been tracking this, we have been seeing damage in the path of the tornado, especially as we were crossing the Interstate 635 and thereby 75 as well. There was damage. We could see that reported by our storm chasers as they were moving back behind the storm. Now, we have the rotation between. So we have it. We have Jason in Richardson and Mike up between North Jupiter and North Shiloh. Let's check in with Jason. Jason, this is now passing to the north of you. What are you seeing?
All right, Jeff. This path that I passed south of West Avenue D on 78, there is tornado damage all along the road. The tornado during a flash. A lightning flash. It's off to my north, just maybe a mile, possibly 2 miles. But there is damage here in town. Again, I can't see the extent of it. I'm trying to work around traffic the best I can to get back north to where it is.
Okay, yeah. So you're reporting damage in Garland. Remember, we were seeing a couple of circulations, and I'm wondering if that was the one off the south that moved over Garland. And this one that we are tracking that Mike is on up to the north is more the one that was over Love Field. It's hard to tell. They've kind of merged and split and reformed a couple of times as they've been pulsating a little bit. We are watching them over by Saxe, approaching Saxe, I should say, this one that Mike is on, and the circulation continues to broaden just a little bit, a sign that it might be weakening. Let's hope so. It has been very, very impressive. Now, we are under a tornado watch, so we have to keep an eye out for other stuff that might be happening. We have a tornado warning out now for Ellis County. This circulation, this is a tornado indicated circulation that is over by Pecan Hill and Lancaster. This is closing in on 45 in Wilmer and Palmer, where this circulation is. This is a tornado warning that is out till 10 p.m. that is in parts of Ellis County. I'll zoom out a little bit more and you can see in reference, this is not the tornado that has been going on in Dallas County. This is another incident. This is a tornado south where the air has been a little bit warmer and there has not been any thunderstorm activity down to the south of it. And the reason I'm mentioning that is that because we've had no thunderstorms basically in this area at all, it's getting some very good warm moist air feeding into the storm. No rain-cooled air at all. So this could rapidly develop into another tornado. In fact, as we have now seen just in the last just in the last volume scan, it is circulation getting a little bit better. So both Mike and Jason, please keep me informed of what you were seeing. We might have to go back into Dallas County, but it seems to be cycling right now over by Rowlett as well. We're seeing some rotation. I'll zoom out and you can see what I mean, that we are tracking a couple of things at the same time. So here is that rotation that is now between Saxe and Rowlett, and let's see if it kind of forms up. This is by 635. This is just north of Dalrock. This is over by Miles Road and Tallier Road, and headed towards Liberty Grove. The latest indication by radar is that circulation tightening. I need everybody in Liberty Grove to take exercise precautions and get to your safe place. I think the one over Garland has weakened. It still doesn't mean there isn't a tornado. It just seems like the circulation is weakened. That's the one Mike has been on here just in the last 10 minutes. He saw some flashes earlier. And now we have this situation both in Rowlett, and we have this situation down in Ellis County that I've circled over by Lancaster. Now, that circulation is still having a little trouble kind of coming together clearly. We'll keep an eye on it. We do have a tornado warning out on this until 10 o'clock. This is just north of Pecan Hill and south of Lancaster near Wilmer. It is passing 45, excuse me, as it moves off to the east. Let's put a track on that because I'm assuming that its track is going to be very similar to the one that we have seen up towards its cousin to the north across Dallas County. That is east-northeast. It's somewhere around 30 miles an hour. And you can see that as it crosses over by 45, Ferris and Patrick 952. So you've got about 10 minutes to get to your safe place. The same story, Walnut Springs, that'll pass just along the northern part of Walnut Springs. That's going to happen just around 10 o'clock, and Combine about 10:06. So we have this tornado down here in Ellis County, over by the Dallas County line. We have this one that our storm spotters, both Mike Pendergrass and Jason McLaughlin, have been giving reports over the last 45 minutes on. These confirmed tornado that moved ever since Love Field and moved over by Love Field and up towards the east-northeast, now headed up towards Saxe. There's been damage reported in Garland, as Jason was just in that area, and now the circulation moving between Saxe and Rowlett is of a concern to see maybe if this thing reforms in this kind of general area. We'll keep an eye on that. Now, as we look again to the south, trying to track both of these possible tornadoes, or certainly these tornado warnings that are out. This is the circulation as it looks now. This is over, again, just at the Dallas and Ellis County line, approaching 45. There's a couple of ways we can look at it. There is storm relative velocity. We subtract the forward motion, and we see the signature a little bit better. You can see it's closing in on 35. There is a tornado warning out on this. This is over by FM Road 664 heading into Ferris at this moment. This thunderstorm certainly capable of producing a tornado. It's kind of over Ferris now. It's moving east at 30 miles an hour, and it is heading over across just along the county line, getting ready to go into Kaufman County. So we do have reports in the wake of the tornado as it moved over parts of Dallas County. We are getting our reporters in position to see the damage. We do have reports of damage. Caroline, one of our reporters is there. What are you seeing?
Well, we just pulled into the shopping center, Preston and Royal Lane. And essentially, this used to be a Specs here, and the Specs, you can see the windows are blown out. There's massive air conditioning units right over here. And all through this shopping center, you can see down trees. There's a huge power line that's down across the intersection as well. I want to kind of move a little bit closer to this car. We actually talked to the girls who were inside the car when this happened. They said, the driver said she was just pressing the brake the entire time, and that the car was moving. There was so much loud noises going on. Since we've been out here, we've heard a few pops with these power lines, so it's definitely a dangerous situation. There are a few drivers out here. Some of them have different smashed cars and debris that they're worried about. At this point, it's hard to tell where the roads are blocked off and where people can get in and out. And so that is definitely a major concern for people at the moment. But you can see just how close this line is to the street and how far down that pole is. Across the way, it looks like there's a lot more damage in that parking lot as well, a lot more damage to cars. We're seeing these massive trees just down, some of them right on top of cars. We saw one guy pull up and his whole front window was just entirely smashed. The rest of the windows in the back of his car were smashed as well. As you can see, we've got police sirens going on. We're trying to get the best look at this damage as we possibly can. Like I said, we probably just pulled up here maybe 20 minutes ago, and there's definitely a lot of damage to take in. Even just driving here, there were down trees on the way. So we're going to try to move and get a little bit of a better look. We're hearing reports that a fire station had damage, so we're going to head that way and see what we can find. But of course, we'll keep updating you throughout the evening. Back to you.
Pictures, vivid pictures of the damage in Dallas there. Carolyn, thank you for that. Is our first really good field report in the wake of this. I've circled it. This was at 9 o'clock, and as it moved over by you could see right by Walnut Hill, then over by Royal Lane, the Preston area, as it crossed over into the interstate and just continued to move its way off to the east, now headed in towards where Jason is now. So there's the latest radar, and I'll zoom out. And growing less and less concerned of the storm that has been over Saxe, but that might be only for the moment as it continues to try to kind of regather. We have been watching with great interest of the one that's over by the Dallas and Ellis County line. This one has been also trying to develop to a tornado. There's a tornado warning out. It's been over by Ferris and Lancaster, moving east at about 30 miles an hour. Meanwhile, that circulation on the northern storm moving into Lake Ray Hubbard. This circulation, just as it's crossing 45 in Ferris, is looking a little bit more organized. Possible tornado warning out until 10 o'clock because of this signature right here. This storm moving off to the east at about 30 miles an hour, since is of the highest concern at this moment, this particular moment, just as it crosses 45, we'll put a track on it that is moving off to the east at 35 miles an hour. Ferris, I hope everybody in Ferris is in their safe spot. You're hearing the winds, possible tornado moving over you at this time. Patrick, you have a few moments to react. If you live on the east side of 45, south of Wilmer, between Ferris and Wilmer, you need to be in a safe spot, because as it approaches towards Patrick and Combine, Crandall and Warsaw, you've got some time. It'll be about 15 after 10 or so when this circulation is arrived. If it still holds together, it might even be stronger. It is hard to tell at this time. We'll put it in motion just for the last 15 minutes, and we can see that rotation kind of coming together and the tornado warning that has been issued now for that circulation. So that is just perhaps another tornado that we are that's being affected here in the Metroplex. This one on 45, just the Dallas County line in Ellis County, south of Wilmer, headed over towards Cross 45, towards the Seagoville and Crandall area. Now, our storm spotters continue to follow this one that's now over Ray Hubbard Lake. This rotation continues to show up on radar. We are currently haven't seen any direct reports of flashes, power flashes from this. There has been some reports that it could be a tornado, or at least circulation, a funnel cloud here. This is continuing with the tornado warning that now will spill into just the parts of Collin County, the southern parts of Collin County there by the lake, and there between Rockwell and Rockwell County, which is also just not quite in the warning, but the circulation come very close. They do have a thunderstorm warning out for this storm, by the way. It is producing 1-inch hail, very heavy rain, and some very strong winds. We're getting a lot of reports in the same places, that same neighborhood where Caroline was. You were seeing some of the damage from the tornado. We're getting reports of damage in the Marsh Walnut Hill areas as well from what you were seeing, that damage Caroline was doing at the, showing us there at Specs. That store heavily damaged from the tornado there. So let me put this in motion. Let me zoom out a little bit more, because there is still a cold front coming in. This is the cold front that's going to sweep across all of North Texas. Now, the air is mixed up a little bit because of the storms right around the Metroplex. We'll see how it affects the strength of these thunderstorms. But this line of thunderstorms is still forecast to kind of come together later tonight as it swings through. And doing so could produce another round of severe weather, if not just strong winds and heavy rain as it moves over some of these same areas that have resumed damage. And what you're seeing, again, we're pointing out this damage from the tornado around Preston and Royal Road. We do have a reporter on the scene showing us these pictures. We have reports also from other sources, storm spotters, of damage in this same area, all up and down parts of Royal. In fact, the tornado kind of followed along Royal as it slowly crossed it, moving towards the northeast. As you know, Royal moves to the east. We have first responders on the scene there. You can see them. This might be near that the firefighters, might be near the fire station Caroline was headed towards. That was reported to have some damage. We'll wait to get another report from her as she gathers information. Let's, yeah, we have, it looks like they're in damage assessment there, as they are going through in the wake of the tornado to check in on people to see if they have anyone trapped under this debris, anyone injured by any of the flying debris under stuff. These tornadoes coming at night. We were trying to give you as much warning as we could as they came in, but a lot of people, of course, out and about aren't watching television, aren't listening to radio, aren't getting those reports. Hopefully everybody by now knows to put our DFW weather app on your phone, because it will let you know. Your phone will buzz you if a tornado warning or a thunderstorm warning is issued where your phone is at. So literally you could be anywhere in the country, but if you're sitting in Dallas County with your phone out in the open, it will let you know that warnings have been issued, because you don't want to be standing out where this happened. This was a tornado that moved across parts of Dallas County, right along Royal and Prescott, where we're looking, Preston, where we're looking right now. They're going to expire the tornado warning for call in Dallas County. That is excellent news. We are still dealing with some tornado warnings and thunderstorm warnings as well. The tornado warning that we're most concerned about is actually south in South Dallas County and parts of Ellis County, moving into Kaufman County. This one has been producing some circulation. Let's go. We are continuing to watch that rescue. The first responders do a search and rescue on the area hit by the tornado. This is the area near Preston and Royal Lane. This is in North Dallas, of course, north of downtown where the tornado. There's been no damage reported at Love Field. That is where we picked up the circulation. That is where the tornado warning started. Right when that circulation was over Love Field, fortunately no reports of damage at Love Field. But as soon as it got just to the east of the airport, obviously a powerful tornado, a strong tornado, at least it got onto the ground and started to do damage and cut a damage path across North Dallas County. And what we're looking at is over by Preston and Raleigh. Let's go, let me show you here. We're going to box this back and so you can look at the radar. This is the tornado warning I was telling you about. It's in effect for just a few more minutes. We'll see if they extend it, but this is the area of concern. Now, when I zoom in on over by Crandall, Siegel, you can see that there are some heavy returns, some strong returns, and one of the things we can do is look at the hail path from this same storm, and you can see how the hail went from Mansfield over by Cedar Hill, over by Lancaster, now headed into parts of Kaufman County. And as we change over to reflectivity, that's where the hail is. It's going to be up to the north of the circulation. This is the circulation right here where the tornado warning tornado warning is out, this is where the hail threat and the heavy rain threat. So obviously the higher concern is this down here, down by Walnut Springs, by 10 Mile Road and Indian Road. So this is Parkinson Road in the town of Patrick. This is just to the south of this. As we change over to velocity, the rotation can be kind of seen generally here. This has been one of those tornado warnings that hasn't produced much in reports, but a reporter continues, reports continue to see their funnel clouds or wedges or lowering, and they continue with the tornado warning because of it. This is obviously because of this rotation right here where this warning is out as it's headed towards the Kaufman County line. So heads up in Seagoville and Crandall, as the county seat of Kaufman also could be under the gun here up towards Oak Ridge as this heads off to the east-northeast. So let's put a track on it and give you as much heads up. This is right now at least the clearest tornado threat that we have. There was a tornado that moved over Dallas County, now over by Ray Hubbard north of Rockwall, has lost some of its circulation, but we're keeping a close watch to it. This track right here, let's put it off towards the northeast at about 30 miles an hour. To give you some arrival times, here we are sitting just before the hour 10 o'clock, and we're getting ready to go into our 10 o'clock show with a full report of what's going on. Scott Padgett here on the scene as well. He'll be joining us. But Gastonia 1017, Lone Star 1024, Post Oak, Bend City at 1028. We have all these areas of concern with this. And joining me now here is Scott Padgett. And Scott, I know you've been following this as you've come in towards the station. You know about the tornado, that it was crossed over here from about Love Field. I'll draw it out a little bit, from Love Field, University Park area, across both Dallas North Turnpike and 75, but this is the one right now that seems to have the clearest signature.
Absolutely, Jeff, and as you were tracking that, we mentioned that in that area now that is the tornado warning that has the better signature, that's where we haven't seen a lot of activity through the day today. Atmosphere very primed for today, and we've seen these storms really develop quickly, and you can definitely see that signature right now showing up there on the radar of kind of that appendage that's kind of hanging down just a little bit. If you're just now joining us, you're able to see on the left-hand side of the screen, that box there, some of the damage from the confirmed tornado that did touch down in Dallas County, moved its way through the Garland areas where we had a second possible rotation there. That activity that's off to the north has weakened just a bit more. But now we were looking at this tornado warning that right now is still through parts of Ellis County and the south and southeast sides there of Dallas County as well. It's pushing its way off to the east, and that's where we're a little bit more concerned for tonight, is looking at this tornado warning that remains in effect. Now, we don't have any confirmation of that on the ground right now, but we definitely are seeing that indicated by our radar. A lot of lightning with these storms as well, but if you're east and southeast of the Wilmer area, that's where our biggest concern is, as well as this is continuing to push its way off to the east relatively quickly. So when you see us switch over on this velocity mode there, you're able to see where we have some of those reds and the greens close together, even that bright green. That indicates very strong winds. So we're going to go ahead and track this as that one, Jeff, is continuing to push its way off towards the east, and just let you know exactly where it's at and where it is going right now. It is moving to the east-northeast now around 30 miles per hour. So it's going to be in the Crandall area right around 10-12, and we're about a minute or so away from the start of CBS 11 News at 10 o'clock. But Gastonia right around 10:18, Lone Star at 10:25, Kaufman right around 10:29. So we're continuing to track this area that's indicated right now on the radar as it is tracking its way pretty quickly around 30 miles per hour. So again, here's Combine right now. There's Lanier Road. There's Davis Road as well. So right in this area, please seek shelter right now. If you hear some of those roads, you heard your town, please go ahead and get to that lowest level of your house, the most interior room possible, because we have a history of some of these storms today producing tornado that has caused some damage in parts of the Metroplex. So if you live in the Crandall area, Talty as well, Kaufman, Post Oak, Bend City, you can see that though you're not within the tornado warning right now. However, we're able to look at this. We're able to look at this signature on the velocity and pinpoint where we might have a broader rotation that's tightening up just a little bit and the potential of a tornado touching down. So that's why we're letting you know right now, and that's why we have this tornado warning that remains in effect. Right now, we're continuing to look at it making its way off towards the east into the northeast. Jeff, this tornado warning until 10 o'clock or 10:30?
o'clock right now.
Right, 10 o'clock.
They might lengthen it.
You're right,
Scott.
So we'll see if they extend that. And you are watching CBS 11 News at 10 o'clock. The continuing coverage here of severe weather in North Texas and our tornado warnings. A confirmed tornado touching down in Dallas County. As you can see, damage there on the left-hand side of your screen. Trees down on cars. We had our reporter earlier mentioning that there were cars with windows blown out on the front and the back side. As of right now, we don't have reports of any injuries. Jeff, you have something?
They're not going to continue the tornado warning, Scott.
Okay, so right now the tornado warning that Jeff and I were looking at least right now, the National Weather Service is not continuing that tornado warning. So this is the one area that we were looking at, but we still have severe thunderstorm warnings that remain in effect. And that does include, as you can see, the Kaufman County area. This remains in effect until 10:30. So this is a history of producing a tornado warning. No damage from this being reported. The south storm, the one that was further to the north, has produced a tornado that we will continue to cover here on CBS 11 News at 10 o'clock. And looking at it right now, this severe thunderstorm warning that did have that history of producing a tornado is now until 10:45. The reason we're continuing to look at this, a lot of lightning with this, maybe some hail. We haven't seen a lot of hail reports, gusty winds, but also the potential of the tornadoes are there. It was a low threat today, but even with a low threat, we definitely had a tornado that caused some damage in Dallas County. We're continuing to bring you that tonight on CBS 11 News at 10 o'clock. So as of right now, we are the tornado warning for Dallas and Ellis County has been expired as well, but widening out the view, we now have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. So that's a little bit of improvement for us, but where we just indicated right there, we do have this line that's coming together. This is the stronger cold front that's going to sweep its way in, and with that, we also have the threat of some severe weather. There are no severe thunderstorm warnings with this right now, but this is another area that we're going to keep our eyes on going through the evening hours, and even behind that, where our wind threat is going to go up into the early morning hours. So if you're in a safe area, want to go ahead and secure some of those items in your backyard right now that might get blown around, go ahead and do that before this frontal boundary arrives. And today, here we are in October, feeling very hot. Tomorrow, temperatures are going to be much cooler because of this cold front moving through. So if you're just now joining us, we now only have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that we are looking at right now, continuing to push their way southeast sides of Collin County and Hunt County. We have a severe thunderstorm warning until 10:45. The tornado warning that was for Dallas and Ellis County, that has expired. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Kaufman County, also stretching for the southeast sides of Dallas County, a little bit of Ellis County until 10:30. Biggest threat with those, again, the tornado threat is low, but the threat, again, also maybe some quarter to maybe golf ball size hail, winds gusting up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. Also, as you can see, we switched on over the hail size. So when you look at this and you see that brighter purple color, we're going to go ahead and sample some of that to let you know the potential of some of the hail. That's when we look at this and the radar looks at this, it looks a little bit higher up into the storm. So maybe some hail up to the size of an egg as it gets closer towards the surface, maybe slightly lower than that. That's just to the west of Polk, Oak, Bend City, Kaufman, and the Talty area. So your winds are going to get up there. We're going to see the potential of some of that hail falling in your neighborhood, and also you have a lot of rain with these storms. So some blinding rain at times. Same story just to the north of Rockwall, south of Farmersville near Nevada and Lavon, east sides of the lake there, maybe size hail up to the size of a ping pong ball. So that's what we're looking right now, the biggest threats. But we have seen a tornado touchdown tonight in Dallas County. Storm damage near Royal and Hillcrest in far north Dallas because of these storms. So they're weakening a little bit, which is some better news, but this doesn't mean that the threat is over, as we have a tornado watch that remains in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's switch on over if we can to Max 2 to show all of the areas that are under the tornado watch. And it's pretty much all of North Texas. You're going to be able to see that every single county indicated in red here, we have this tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning. You can see the live drives there on the left-hand side of the screen. Both of our storm chasers, Jason McLaughlin and Mike Prendergrass, have been out tonight bringing you some of the first pictures of the damage and also of the tornado that was on the ground in Dallas County. So they're continuing to get in position as they're tracking this. Let's head back to the radar. As you can see, we've zoomed in just a bit more to Dallas County and on the east sides of Dallas County, Kaufman County, as well through parts of Colony County and Hunt County. That's where we have the threat right now of these severe thunderstorm warnings. So I know we're continuing to have our news crews out, headed to the scene of some of the damage, and we're going to be bringing you live reports. Control room, if you need us to switch over to that, just let me know. I can tell you that we do not have any tornado warnings right now that remain in effect, but we are tracking the severe thunderstorm warnings moving their way from the west to the east. And, you know, Jeff, earlier today, and tremendous job on tracking these storms. You saw that circulation before we even had the tornado warning. You were monitoring it. This started around the 8 to 8:15 time period, and they just really ramped up.
You know, Scott, we literally followed that circulation across Tarrant County. It was over by Eagle Mountain Lake, over by Saginaw is where it started. And we watched it for a good 30 minutes and wondering, you know, we're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to keep an eye on this. As soon as it got over Love Field, it dropped a tornado or just past Love Field, judging from the damage reports. We continue to look at a wide view because, as Scott was mentioning, there's no tornado warnings out now. Sure, the watch continues to 2 a.m., but we have just 2 thunderstorm warnings out for these cells that both produce tornadoes. At least that northern cell produced the Dallas tornado. That southern one might have produced one over parts of Ellis County near the Dallas County line in South Dallas. But you also see that squall line starting to form up, Scott. That is out to the northwest. That is a great point you make. We know for sure. We don't know if that's going to be severe, but we do know it's going to have powerful winds behind it. And if you are trying to recover from debris, you're trying to get your house back in order because of tornado damage, Scott, these winds could easily get up towards 35, 40 miles an hour in gusts.
And I'm getting reports now of the Crandall area and the Kaufman area that the sirens are sounding there for the severe thunderstorm warning. Both of these had a history of tornado warnings with them. The northern storm that right now is moving through the Colony County, Rockwell County area, and also the Hunt County area is the one that did produce the tornado that touched down in Dallas County, north sides of Dallas, causing the damage there. We had the tornado warning that was in effect for the south sides there of the south storm, actually, for the Singleville area, the Kaufman area. And Jeff, now I'm noticing again on that storm that we still have maybe that small appendage that's kind of down to the south a little bit more, maybe an inflow notch happening where we might see the storm wrapping up even more. There is not a tornado warning with this, but you can definitely see on the high resolution velocity that just to the south of Crandall, not a surprise why the sirens are sounding there. Here is the circulation that right now looks like FM, hard to see that one because the line's right over it, but yeah, FM 3030, I think that is your combine as well. So to the south and west of FM 145 or 148, to the south and west of Gastonia. So in this area, we're seeing some rotation on our radar. We do not have a tornado warning with this, but that doesn't mean that we need to take this storm lightly. This is a storm that had a tornado warning indicated by radar a little bit earlier. Getting some reports possibly of a rotating wall cloud south of Nevada as well, southwest of Nevada. This is all pushing its way towards the north and northeast at around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So if you live in Crandall, Gastonia, the Kaufman area, also if you live in Post Oak, Bend City, please go ahead and just get away from the windows, get to the most interior room. You know your storm plan, and we know that you know what you're doing here in North Texas. But just go ahead and seek shelter right now. We're tracking this area of velocity that we're a little bit more concerned about. This does have a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect as we go to the 10:30 to 10:45 period. So Gastonia right about 10:14. Lone Star 1022, Kaufman 1026, the Oak Ridge area 1033, and Abner at 1041. So this is tracking its way to the east-northeast. You can see a lot of lightning as well showing up with our Mobile 11 units that are out there, our storm chasers that are out there as well. So the lightning is showing up for us as we're seeing this one storm that's down towards the south and the east tracking its way north and northeast. I'm not sure whose picture we're looking at least right now, but we'll go ahead and try to let you know that if you guys producers just want to let me know in my ear where we have that picture coming from. But this is the area that we're a little bit more concerned about, possibly as well dealing with some of the larger hail showing up just to the south of Tulty, to the west of Pocos Bend City as well. So Terrell, you're just on the fringe of that severe thunderstorm warning, but you do have a lot of heavy rain that is falling for you right now. I'm probably sure that you're hearing the rumbles of thunder as well as this storm is moving its way on in. So the circulation is there. It's not tightly packed, Jeff, but it's definitely something that maybe a little bit bit more of a broad circulation. Wouldn't be surprised there to see this wall cloud being reported from that. We don't have any reports of anything that's on the ground, not a tornado warning with this at all, but it's definitely that we're looking at possibly some 2-inch size hail in diameter near the Kaufman area. So that could also cause some damage. And so that's why we do have the severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect. That was until about 10:30. So the Dallas County area, it looks like the strongest part of that storm now is moving out of Dallas County, still near the Seagoville area, south and east of Mesquite. You have some of the heavier rain, but the strongest portion of the storm now is in Kaufman County, and that's why you have the severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect for another 20 minutes. So we're sampling some of the hail size now, and yes, when you see this lighter purple color right there, we're going to go ahead and sample some of this. We could have hail up to the size of a ping pong ball. Or also in some spots, we had the potential of some large hail in the forecast through the day today. So Seagoville, Talty, Post Oak, Bend City, you might hear that on your roof right now where we're seeing some of the thunderstorm activity as it has continued to push its way off towards the east. So just real quick, Jeff, we have this severe thunderstorm warning that right now is near the Nevada area, Greenville and Hunt County. That's until 10:45. And then we have the severe thunderstorm warning that's down in the Kaufman County, east and southeast sides of Dallas County until 10:30. We will continue to track the radar, work on the forecast even more, continue to analyze this data. But we want to head over to Steve Pickett. And Steve, we had a confirmed tornado touchdown in Dallas, and it caused some damage.
It affected so many people, primarily in the northern core, from west to east. If you are in the Preston Hollow area, if you're in the Lake Highlands area, you all took your cover. We have reports people are safe, but there is damage. Damage that includes, for example, Tollway and Royal Lane, also Marsh and Walnut Hill, all of those areas impacted by those heavy winds and that confirmed tornado, as you just heard Scott mentioning. In fact, at Preston and Royal in the Preston Hollow neighborhood, we do have reporters on scene in various locations. Let's start with Caroline Vandergriff. She is in that sector of Dallas now with more on what she's seeing there. Caroline?
We're at a shopping center near Royal Lane in Preston, and the damage here is pretty unbelievable. I want to show you. You can see this car here, the back window smashed. You can see the tree branches underneath, and we've seen major downed trees all over. If we come a little bit past this car, you can see this pole splintered right here, and these power lines just dangling over the street. So this is a pretty dangerous situation right now. Police and firefighters are out here redirecting traffic, making sure people aren't trying to drive down these streets with potential power lines hanging in the road right now. We've seen a variety of trees down. I want to bring you back over here this way. You can see this massive tree in the shopping center over here, and these massive branches. A few windows of different stores have been smashed out. These car windows here also smashed out with branches. And people have been kind of wandering around. We've talked to a few people who were here when this happened and said it was incredibly scary. The sound, the wind, all of that just very shocking. We talked to a group of girls who were in a car and basically managed to get inside just in time. But this damage is pretty intense. We have seen firefighters walking around, going to different areas of the shopping center, checking to make sure no one is injured, making sure people are okay, and also turning around cars from driving into dangerous areas. We will, of course, continue to monitor this damage out here in this situation and bring you the latest. Steve?
Caroline, I want your photographer to show us more of that area to remind people exactly where you are. As you were mentioning, right there at Preston and Royal, for example, there is a fire station house right at that very corner, right before, just to the east of, for example, the tollway there. We were told there was extensive damage in that area, and Caroline's right in the heart of it where that shopping center is. That's one location. Also, folks, if you're in the Richardson area, we were told that up in Coit, Beltline and 75, that 75-635 corridor, major damage there as that tornado hit that area, and we're still having crews there. The concern are power lines still being down in a number of those areas. Let me give you another example. Marsh and Walnut Hill, that is in northwest Dallas, in the Preston Hollow area as well. We are told that there is damage, residential damage, and others still trying to confirm with other reports there. As you can see in this footage, we have seen it. That is right at 75 and 635 as our crews, our storm chasers, following that storm, making sure people literally on the highway were fine as that tornado went right through that corridor right around the 9 o'clock hour. Again, we have no confirmed reports of any reports of damage or what have you. I want to get back to Scott Paget. He's going to update for us, if you will, and also Jeff Ray on what we're seeing in terms of concerns about weather to the south of us. Guys?
And, Steve, we've been looking at the latest information and dramatic video there that we're also showing on the screen. We wanted to start there, Steve, with, as you can see, this is the Strongest Winds program. Now, I want the Strongest Winds product. 9 o'clock, you can see right in this area. Here's Farmers Branch. There's the Carrollton area. So we're going to show you the history of this tornado that we were just showing you all the damage that was produced. Jeff.
So, Scott, this was right over Love Field. Remember,
right.
I was telling you that the signature actually started in Tarrant County, but it was right around here that we started seeing a clear signature. And then, Scott, why don't you just follow us across as it went across Dallas County?
And Jeff, we actually took some live, here's some raw video we're just now getting in. So you at home are seeing this with us. Here is the store damage near Royal and Hillcrest in far north Dallas because of what we were just showing you there on you can see a grand piano there, windows blown out as well. So this was a devastating tornado that touched down near the Love Field area and then continued to track its way through North Dallas County. And you can see again, if you're just looking at all this is the raw video coming in as well. Those windows just blown in as well. People kind of just stunned a bit because of the tornadoes here. Picking up, it looks like picture frames there that were, of course, valued pictures, those memories as well. So people in Dallas County and far north Dallas are now having to pick up the pieces from this tornado that developed. We were watching the rotation come out of the Tarrant County area and then moving into the area, and that's when we had the tornado warning right over Love Field, and then it tracked its way to through North Dallas and continue to track its way northeast. So you can see there just people having to now deal with the power of the tornado and the thunderstorm there. So we're seeing this video just as you are seeing this video as well. So yeah, right now we don't have any reports of any injuries. Of course, our news desk, news crews are continuing to work this story of the damage here in Dallas County as well. But this definitely shows the power of the tornado that touched down for us. So you're looking at that as well. We're just getting this video into us from the producers. If you want to go back, so this is what we were showing you earlier. So the damage from this. So we're now going into 9/16 this evening. You can see there north of University Park, south of the Richardson area. It tracked its way north and east, getting a little bit closer towards then. The Saxe area may be weakening a little bit, but still definitely a threat north of the Garland area. There were two circulations as Jeff was tracking a little bit earlier, and our storm chasers were both looking at. One was the north side as well, then the second one getting a little bit closer towards the Rowlett area. No reports there of anything that was on the ground, but we're going to continue to work on that to see if there's any damage, and then that pushed its way off towards the north and east. So this is the tornado that we're able to sample and show you with our Strongest Wind product here at CBS 11. Tracked its way through near Love Field and then pushed its way to the north and northeast. Jeff, let's now show everyone what's going on currently as we take a look at the radar. You're able to see we do not have any tornado warnings that are in effect. Let me step on out of the way to show you that we do have the severe thunderstorm warnings that were in effect, one till 10:30 and one until 10:45. That does include the Hunt County area. That's until 10:45. Southeast sides of Collin County. The majority of the heaviest rain right now is, and the strongest storm for Hunt County, that is for you. So the southeast sides of Collin County, you're pretty much in the clear as far as that storm is concerned. Now, in Kaufman County, south of Terrell, you still have this severe thunderstorm warning. That remains in effect as well. So we're looking at that one pushing its way off to the east and to the northeast. And we did see some on our velocity products, some broad rotation. Now just looking at this, weaker than what we saw a little bit earlier. Still something that we're keeping our eyes on to the southwest of Oak Ridge, right near Post Oak, Bend City, south of Talty, west of Kaufman. So it's not tightly packed, but we do have our reds and our greens that are closer to each other. And when you see that, we are seeing that as it pushes its way on in. We have some new video coming in now. Is this the tornado went over the Rockwall area. You can see it right there. It's hard to see there in the center of your screen, but you see, this is the challenge at night when you're unable to see during the day, so you have to wait for those lightning flashes. And we're getting the video here to load again, but you were able to see there in the center portion of the screen. This is coming from Athena Rising. Thank you so much from your Twitter account there. So we have the video there in motion. You see it right there. So you have to look at those lightning flashes. You're watching this with me as well, but you can definitely see that well-defined cone there. There it is. There's the tornado right there in the middle as it was near Rockwall, moving its way to the north and to the northeast, Jeff. So that's what we've been looking at. So there, wow, just impressive video as well. This is the challenge at night. This is why we tell you, please go seek shelter. It's hard to see that confirmed tornado on the ground, looking like it's more than of a thicker cone as well. This is what our storm chasers were seeing and tracking as they're driving. You have to wait for those flashes of lightning and the power flashes as well. So here's the high resolution velocity as well. That's 951. So we just showed you video. Here's the Wiley area, here's Rockwall, and right in this area is where we have that tornado, that video that we just showed you. So definitely causing some damage. We have our crews working our way to that scene as well. So right in this area here, we are 10:02, so 9:55-ish or so. That's where we saw the tornado making its way through the Rockwall area and making its way north and northeast. There's Levon as well. So it now has weakened out just a bit more. We did have that tornado warning that was in effect, but thankfully right now, we just have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. They still can cause some damage. You can still have winds gusting up to 40, 50, maybe 60 miles per hour, and maybe some ping pong ball size hail. Back to the west, we do have this frontal boundary and these line of storms that are trying to come together just a bit more. So as you look at that, nothing is severe with this. This is all along the cold front that is moving its way into North Texas and is going to change your weather for as soon as tomorrow. It's going to get very windy behind this frontal boundary as well. So we're looking at that. We're going to continue to track this. I have it over on Max 2 as well, just to show you the how we're going to see this front slide its way down towards the south and the east. So here's the future sky forecast. Here we are going to 1 to 2 o'clock, possibly seeing the squall line come together. Now, what we have to look at is, did we see some of the energy kind of get, the atmosphere, some of the energy kind of get worked out because of these stronger storms, these supercells that have popped up today. So we'll watch this line come together. The threat is still there, and then that's making its way down the south and east. All right, over there on the left-hand side of your screen, maybe some more raw video that's coming in there of people that have been affected by this tornado. This is near Hillcrest and Royal Lane. You can see people there dealing with the tornado. We'll be able to effort some of the sound coming up a little bit later on. So this is the raw video that is coming in. You're seeing it with us as well. I can only imagine what she's talking about, Jeff.
Do you see her bedroom suite behind her?
Well, you know, it's hard to see. I mean, that's a mattress there. So, you know, it's hard to see if this was from her home, from an apartment. We don't know yet. We're going to have our reporters there on the scene being able to give us some more information. But it definitely looks, I'm not sure if she was injured before. It looked as well as if maybe she had her foot bandaged up because from what the storm was or not. So that's, I think she probably was already in that cast. So, you know, and this, we're looking at it as well with you as home, but we're going to effort some of the sound coming a little bit over, but there's a mattress there behind her, definitely a lot of damage that's around. So we're not sure. This is the Hillcrest, the far north area, near Royal and Hillcrest and far north Dallas as well, and people there affected by this storm. So some of the victims of this tornado that did touch down for us. All right, so Steve, you know, we're going to see this front slide its way down to the southeast, and then behind that, we're going to see our temperatures drastically change and the winds come up. We'll have more on the radar coming up in a bit, but man, this video that's coming in tonight just shows the power of what we've seen tonight. I was just going to say, Scott, those images tell you everything you need to know about the affected neighborhoods throughout that part of Dallas, specifically in northeast and northwest Dallas neighborhoods. For example, if you're along Central Expressway and Royal Lane, it was right through that area along with 635 and 75. JD Miles, one of our reporters, lives right in that area. JD, are you on the phone? Can you hear me?
Yes, Steve, I've got you.
Talk to me about what you guys experienced there, because I know exactly where you live, and that was the real core of that major storm there.
Yeah, Steve, it was, I guess, around maybe 9 when this happened. I'm not really sure what time it was, but we had been told there was a severe thunderstorm warning, and we started to look out to the west. I live right at Royal and 75, and they had talked about, at least the weather team, Scott and the weather team had talked about a tornado touching down at Love Field. And we started looking out to the west from the third floor of my apartment building, and we could see blue flashes with the lightning, which is often a calling card of a tornado because it's blowing out transformers, which makes that color. And so I'm watching it. Suddenly the wind starts blowing into the storm that's coming to us, really picking up. We're hearing the emergency sirens, and we head for a bathroom, and another couple that lives on the third floor that felt like they needed to get down to the bottom floor, they got in our bathtub. We had 5 of us in there with 2 dogs, had a mattress ready to pull over our heads. The wind started to pick up. You could hear the howling. You could hear the power of it. And after a few minutes had passed, we went outside. There was some minor damage around where I live, but I got in my car and I headed up north just a quarter mile. And we may have some video, I think, now of this. It looks like this is where the path of that tornado was. Just a quarter mile due north of me, there's a Home Depot at Forest and 75, and you can see what's left of it now. It has been just destroyed by whatever this was. You may be able to hear the smoke alarm siren going off in the background here. There's water rushing into the store from the open roof. The roof has just been peeled off. Everything that was part of the roof has collapsed. And what's surprising to me about this, Steve, is that there is not a single emergency vehicle here. We know they are taxed. We know they are going to where there are injuries and where there is a possibility of someone trapped.
Well, JD, I can tell you, as you're talking right now, based on your location, we are looking at pictures just to the west of where you are, where those people are, the damage, where we see paramedics and first responders at the Tollway in Royal Lane, just to the west of you. And I can tell you those crews are there responding now as a result of the damage in that neighborhood as well. That is in the Preston Hollow neighborhood. As you head toward the Dallas North Tollway, right at Royal Lane, we have seen there are individual homes in those subdivisions of that area. Obviously, we just saw live shots from the shopping centers also in that area with extensive damage. We saw cars. Obviously, there are no lights, there's no power, there's concern about hot lines being there, and that is why you see so many crews in that area now trying to protect so many people directly affected by this. That picture you're looking at right now, folks, I believe that is live there at the Preston and Royal area, just to the east of the tollway, where we have seen our crews, including Caroline Vandergriff and others who've been there for the last hour, if not longer, trying to find individuals who have, frankly, still dealing with the storm that may have directly hit their homes, their cars, looking for family members and what have you. You saw one image, for example, just a few minutes ago, a home, the front end of that home that Scott was showing you. It was gone. They have a piano sitting in the middle of that home, but that family obviously directly impacted by that. That is just one area that we have seen here in the North Dallas area. If you just head further to the east at 635 and 75, we saw literally the tornado fly right through that sector while cars were still on that highway. We are still trying to get confirmation of any definite count on the number of people who may have been injured there, but nonetheless, here at Hillcrest and Royal, Preston and Royal, that particular corridor, as you get closer to the tollway and even to the west along Walnut Hill, for example, Marsh Lane, those intersections, those families in those areas also being affected. First responders responding to those areas to make sure they can get a proper head count and see any kind of damage that exists in those neighborhoods. Even to the north in Richardson along Beltline and 75, we watched Scott Padgett it. We watched Jeff also indicate to us that that line, that tornado going right through that area, that is a heavily populated area as well, residentially, also businesses as well. Still trying to get confirmation on the impact in those areas. This shot you're looking at right now, folks, we can see obviously that is a major thoroughfare. They have slowed down the traffic in that area because of so much of the debris, but just to the outskirts of that image that you're seeing right now are darkened neighborhoods impacted by this tornado and the strong winds that came with the storm in and of itself. And so now there is a response there. How many people in their homes may have been impacted through all of it? We were also talking about to the south of Dallas County, the concern in Lancaster and other communities, the DeSoto area. No confirmations right now of anything major there, but that is the concern throughout the Dallas County corridor as we have seen these storms come through most of the evening. Again, if you're just joining us, folks, around 9 o'clock, we saw all of this literally hit the ground. A confirmed tornado along Central Expressway and 635 is went along 75 and Royal Lane. Also, I understand Jay Johnson, photojournalist Jay Johnson. Jay, can you hear me? Where are you right now?
I'm at the tollway in Royal Lane right now, and it's got a lot of traffic starting to back up. It looks like one of the tollway walls on the west side collapsed, and they're trying to clear the debris and get trees out of the middle of the tollway. Everybody looks to be safe. There's no wrecks right here in this area, but right down here, I'm going to pan my camera, is a gas leak at Royal and Tollway also, where you can kind of see a bunch of activity going on down here. So right now they're just in kind of a clean spot and kind of maintaining the traffic and trying to get some of the debris out, keeping everybody safe.
Jay, the direction your camera is right now, are you looking to the north or to the south right there?
I'm pointing to the north of the tollway. I am pointing towards Forest Lane and Royal Lane.
Very good, because you can see that traffic flow to the north slowly but surely. But as you can see, folks, to the south, it is pitch black. That is because ostensibly what we've seen, as our meteorologists have confirmed for you, that storm, that tornado goes through the south part of that sector of Royal Lane, south of 635, and you're now seeing there at Royal and the tollway, look at that damage. You can see it right there. It's a little tough because it's so dark, but obviously there's concern about, as you get into those neighborhoods, the impact. Jay mentioned the concern also about a potential gas leak there, and obviously with those power lines down, real concern for a number of neighborhoods, people in those neighborhoods as well. If you are, as we mentioned earlier, to the east of that area, if you were along Royal Lane again and the 75, Greenville and 75, 75 and 635, while people were on that highway heading north and south at 75 and 635, you could see the image of that tornado rip right through there. There was damage of cars and trucks, people still on the highway, still trying to get a count of how many people were directly impacted by it, and if power can be restored in that corridor. As you know, folks, there's a number of businesses in the High Five area, along with the residential areas to the east and to the west, whether they be Lake Highlands or to the Preston area, and also up into Richardson as well. We have seen concern about damage. I saw an image earlier today of a supermarket just on Coit Road, just to the north of that area. Also looked like extensive damage from all of this. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, you're looking at images. That is the Dallas North Tollway heading to the north. Right at Royal Lane, there's concern about damage along that part of the tollway and the neighborhoods that align it. That is darkness there to the east and west because of the storm. Look at those trees. If you take a look, and you can see what that tornado did in that area. There is, of course, a major retail area along Preston and Royal as well. We saw Caroline Vandergriff in that area where we saw trees down, cars damaged, and then we saw those images of residents, homes in that area, the front facing of those homes in some sectors gone. I understand we are now going to Hillcrest and Royal Lane as well. Photojournalist Barry Blonstein in that area. Barry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Steve.
Okay, navigate for us. Tell me exactly where you are. I think I got the area right. What kind of damage are you seeing out there?
Well, obviously this is a 30-mile-an-hour sign blown down from that side. This is Royal Lane, if you can believe it. I mean, it is completely blocked, as you can see. If I walk this way, no cars are passing. There is actually, I'm not going to go all the way down there, but there is a part of a roof with track lighting on it. But this is what you really need to see. Just the power of tornadoes, how it's ripped through these trees. It came through here. We have a lot of firemen and rescue personnel over here. This is a really badly damaged area. It's kind of it's mind-blowing how much power this, I'm assuming a tornado, can cause.
Barry, I see
these trees.
Yeah, I can see those residents. Obviously, people in the darkness there as those first responders have gotten to that location. You are in. That's actually in a neighborhood. You're on the Hillcrest side.
Yes. I'm just south of Hillcrest. I believe the actual street address, I'd be at Lavendale and Royal, Hillcrest Forest. And this is the kind of damage you're seeing. We talked to this woman in this house right here across from me, and earlier I had her on tape, and she was in a room and when the tornado came through. And obviously you can see the damage is just unbelievable. She's okay. She was rescued by the fire department. So she's out front of her house, but that front part of her house is where she was.
Oh my goodness.
And so, I mean, it is just really, really, really
I'm looking at this, Barry.
Damage.
Is that the front of her home? Is that, oh my
Yes.
goodness gracious.
So this tree blew through all the way through to this front part of her house, which is where she was, if you can believe it. And
Okay.
so she was okay, which is amazing.
Keep working there. I know we are seeing through that area. Just keep showing us these images. I know, again, first responders are there working with people who may face some injuries or damage there. Let me make sure that people understand exactly where we are. That Hillcrest Royal area, also Bodecker. And if you're familiar with these neighborhoods in this part of Northwest Dallas, for example, the former president of the United States, George W. Bush, lives in that same neighborhood in the Preston Hollow area. So I don't know exactly where this house is in relationship to his and others, but it is clear that that damage is pretty extensive in that area. We have heard reports there
Steve,
at Preston
can you
and
still
Royal.
see me?
Yes, go right ahead, Barry, go.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's, that you're not going any further than this. I mean, look at this home right here. The roof is completely blown off. I mean, no power. I don't see anybody. Hopefully, maybe they're at the cowboy game. I don't know, but they don't look like they're home. But I mean, literally, this is where you cannot go any further than right here. It's completely blocked off.
My goodness.
Obviously, these power lines are down, and so they're not allowing anybody to go any further. But I mean, look at it. This is Royal Lane. Completely blocked off.
Folks, if you are familiar with this part of Northwest Dallas, as Barry Blonstein, our photojournalist, is showing us, it is essentially gone by virtue of those uprooted trees, the damage to homes. You see those power lines. Be careful there, Barry. Not sure if those lines are still hot. We know that power is out in that area, but you still have to obviously be careful. That is a large, affluent neighborhood. Obviously, in some parts they are directly affected by this. And you are seeing it live, folks. We have seen at least one family directly impacted. That the woman you saw on the ground, we are told she is safe. She's fine. That injury did not, it was not sustained from this storm, we are told, from this tornado. But as Barry is showing you here, this is just one example of what we've seen in several neighborhoods throughout the Dallas area, particularly northeast and northwest, and it extended up into the Richardson area and to the High 5, 635, 75 corridor as well. But along Preston, Royal Lane, Hillcrest, Royal Lane. This is what you're seeing for the number of people who live in those neighborhoods right now.
And Steve, I just wanted to jump in here as well. Looking at some of this damage now, what's going to go on? The National Weather Service is going to be out surveying tomorrow, but just looking at some of this damage as we're getting these live pictures in right now from near the Royal area at Hillcrest, those large trees that are down, roofs that are being peeled off, I'm going to estimate possibly this could be maybe an EF2, which are winds about 111 miles per hour to 135 miles per hour. That's what meteorologist Jeff and I were both kind of just looking at. So this is part of what we look at. Here's that EF rating and wind speed scale there that you see on your screen. So the winds of EF 0, 65 to 85, but I'm thinking winds with this one possibly up to 111 miles per hour, maybe up to 135 miles per hour. And that's just now looking at the video. So we're not there on the ground, but you look at what the estimated damage is, and there are different parameters to look at. Were there just shingles off of a roof, or was part of the roof gone? Were trees, large tree limbs down, and as you can see, part of the roof right there on the ground, large trees broken in half. So that's what the National Weather Service will be out and surveying tomorrow, and also looking at, sometimes when they go out, they look to see what is the damage path, how is everything kind of laid out afterwards to see if it was straight line wind damage. But we definitely know that this was a tornado that did touch on the ground. So Steve, you know, this is what we're looking at right now, and I wanted to give you that perspective that it looks like we had winds up to possibly 135 miles per hour with this tornado.
Okay, sir, let's quickly go back out to Northwest Dallas, Hillcrest and Royal. Photojournalist Ed Lowther's at that location right now. Ed, can you hear me? Tell me exactly where you are and what you're seeing.
Yeah, Steve, I can hear you out here. Where I am at Lavendale and St. Jude here in North Dallas, kind of near Royal and 75, near that area. There is, in this area, a lot of tree damage, large trees across the roads. It's very difficult to get around. Some damage. I am here with a homeowner, and let me just, so that is tree damage you see right there with my camera that is blocking the road, and I'm coming around and trying to show you this gentleman's house here, that the roof is gone here.
Wow, yes, yes, I see. Oh my goodness.
And so this is the homeowner right here, and he's gracious enough to talk to me real quick about what happened. Sorry, let me get my camera set here, and then.
Ed, while you're getting that together, go right ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and just tell me what you saw, what you went through, and explain kind of what you were thinking, feeling when all this was going on.
No, it's no problem. We were here, and we were actually heard the tornado sirens started going off, listened to them, watching the news as much as we could, and then right before we lost power, they said take cover. They knew that it was coming this way, and initially it was coming from like Love Field, I think, to Highland Park, and then it kind of took a turn and came towards our way. So we just took cover, grabbed a little mini mattress, and took cover. And, you know, we've lived here a long time, 18 years in this area. Never had any issues like this. We thought we'd be okay. And then we saw the insulation from our roof flying through, and we knew something was up. And just like the typical scenario you hear, that sounds like a train or whatever. And so, yeah, just.
Well, tell me, when you were getting safe, as you put it, you grabbed a mattress. Explain that. Where did you go? What did you do?
Center of the house over there by. We have a main hallway, and it literally is in the center of the house. So that we just kind of took cover right there. Opened up the little closet door that's literally in the center of the house, and we just covered up. And we had our dog and our cat and our kid, and you know.
And everyone except the house is okay.
Yeah, everything's fine. The cars are okay. The carport on the backside, everything's okay. But everything, trees, roof, and everything on the backside, somebody else's roof is in our backyard. But yeah, and power lines are gone. Everything. It's nuts. Yeah.
And forgive me, what was your name again?
Ellis.
Ellis. And when I came across Ellis, I would tell you he was in a surprisingly good mood for having just lost the roof of his house. You're really taking this in stride.
We're okay. That's all that matters.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
we're
right.
fine.
Hey, thanks for talking to me.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. Appreciate
Have
you.
a good night.
Glad you guys are okay. Okay, Steve.
All right, Ed, thank you. I want to get people, make sure they understand their bearings of where you are. We were primarily in Northwest, where Ed is right now. Ed Lauder, our photojournalist, that's in Northeast Dallas, closer to 75 in Royal. But I'm going to go right back to Northwest, to closer to the tollway along Preston and Royal, where we've seen extensive damage in that area. Caroline Vandergriff has been at that location as well. Can we get to Caroline now and update us what we're seeing in that area? Caroline.
Yes, we are right at the intersection of Preston Road and Royal Lane. I want to show you, it is just a mess of cords and cables over this intersection right now. Very dangerous situation. We have firefighters and police here blocking off this intersection, trying to make sure cars like that one you see going through do not go through this area, because it is just a mess of these cables. Now, you can see a street light over here is just mangled. And that is right next to the Benchmark Bank, which the windows of that bank are completely blown out. You can see water rushing from the building. I'm not sure if a pipe burst in the storm or something like that happened, but you can hear those alarms going off and see that water just streaming down with those windows smashed. Again, police have blocked off this intersection, but we've seen a few people walking around with flashlights. Some are checking their cars for damage. Some, I think, are just trying to scope out the situation here. Now, this building next to us over here, some part of the roofing, I'll get him to turn this way. You can see smashed windows up there. Parts of the roof and the siding also have come down. And this is just a common thing we are seeing in this shopping center. This has happened to multiple storefronts, multiple buildings. And another major thing we keep seeing as well is massive AC units that have ended up in the parking lot or in the street, getting torn off these buildings by the power of this tornado that came through. Now, many firefighters have been passing us and walking around this area, making sure we're okay, checking on us, and looking for anyone who may have been injured, but also warning people to stay away from this area. Again, if you don't need to be driving around here, there is no need. With these power cords and different cables in these intersections, it's dark, it's very hard to see, the power is out here, and this is just a situation you don't want to find yourself in. So stay home if there's no need to go out. But of course, we will continue to look for more damage and update you with what we find. Steve?
Okay, thank you. By the way, folks, we are getting information from Dallas Fire Rescue. For example, they had a structural collapse at Walnut Hill and Harry Hines, but we are told there is no indication of any injuries there, but that was a major response there at, again, Walnut Hill and Harry Hines, what they define as a structural collapse. We have also seen more damage and concerns about what's happening in the Lake Highlands area, or just the northern edge of Lake Highlands of Northeast Dallas, Greenville and 635. We now see this particular image. This is, where are we, guys? Where exactly is this?
This is Royal.
Okay, this is back in Northwest. Barry Blonstein, photojournalist. Go ahead, Barry.
Yes. Yeah, this is a house that's further down. I mean, this one has the roof completely torn off, as you can see. I mean, it is the worst damage zone I've seen. There's a huge tree out front that has been basically snapped in half. And it doesn't look like, obviously, that the family is home, so that's a good thing. But I mean, just the power of this tornado is incredible, and it just ripped through here. And I guess the good news is that nobody was here, but it is really, really, really extreme damage, extreme. And this is a higher area, so this is up on a hill, because you can see it kind of looks like there's a valley. So, I mean, obviously it was, unfortunately, being up a little higher, it was susceptible to whatever the wind, and it just got really, really hit hard. And we're seeing this all up and down Royal Lane.
Barry, I can see in that area there, that is, amazing. Thank goodness, if we're right, that no one was there, no injuries there.
Yeah.
But in that particular area, again, that's Bodecker and Royal Lane, not far from Preston and Royal. Again, in the Preston Hollow neighborhood, that's not far from St. Mark's School, that may have sustained some damage as well. Where it's dark there, folks. So throughout that entire area, you just have no real indication of the extensive nature of what we're seeing right now with these shots of these homes with this kind of damage. They cannot be alone. They can't be. I understand Clay Jenkins, Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins, is on the phone with us now with a live update on what you've learned in terms of assessment here. Judge Jenkins, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Talk to me about what you've learned at this point, sir.
So currently, we have minimal transports on injuries, so that's a very good thing. We've got about 60,000 people without power in the city of Dallas, about 15,000 more spread across the county, with a lot more to the north than to the south. We briefly had the 911 dispatch center down in Richardson as far as the power, which made 911 calls challenging there. That the power is back up there. It's very important. We have two major on-core transmission lines right now that we don't have the power running to the other end. And so we don't know right now, are those lines down or has something been tripped there? If you'll recall, a couple of years ago, we had some children that were in a park when some lines were hanging low and were electrocuted. So it's very important not to be an onlooker right now, to stay in your home. Don't get out unless you have to be out. Folks like you will get the news to people. We don't need them out on the street. There might be down power lines where you are, and there will be a lot of dangerous debris, so please stay in your home.
Tell me. Clay Jenkins, Judge Clay Jenkins, Dallas County Judge. At this point, you mentioned 60,000 people without power right now, right in the core of the city, mostly to the northwest and northeast, 15,000 others right now throughout the county. Thank you so very much. We are looking at these live images here in one Northwest Dallas neighborhood where that tornado went right through. As you can see, the impact of those trees. We've already seen residential damage, severe residential damage in some locations as well. And thank you so much for your time. I've got Lorenzo. Where is Lorenzo now? We're talking another photojournalist. Walnut Hill and Harry Hines in Northwest Dallas as well, with more concerns about damage there. Lorenzo, can you hear me? Talk to me.
Yes, sir, Steve. We are in that area. I am off of Brockbank and Newcastle, just south of Walnut Hill. This area holds a lot of apartment complex in the area that have seen roof damage. And across the street from the apartment complex is houses. As you can see, some of the houses back there, there is a lot of tree damage. There's down power lines. We've got what appears to be roofs in the middle of the street. This area is dark and has been dark for a while. Just trying to get down here was a task in itself because there is no lights out on the streets. All the traffic lights are out. And of course, there's residents out here surveying the damage. This is looking down to Newcastle, and there appears to be a lot of damage in this street also.
Again, he's at Walnut Hill and Harry Hines. As he mentioned, a large number of multifamily dwellings. That means thousands of people who live in apartment complexes in that area. That's just north, for example, the Webb Chapel extension north of Love Field, where we have thousands of folks who live in apartment units throughout that sector. So where Lorenzo Garcia, photojournalist, is showing you those images right now, obviously, we've got some concern about the number of people who may be impacted, not only by the fact that there's no power there, but any kind of real damage to their homes. Lorenzo, we will check back with you in just a second. I understand we're going to go back to Northeast Dallas on the tip of the Lake Highlands area along Greenville and 75. Photojournalist Tim Anders in that area now. Tim, can you hear me? Talk to me.
I can hear you, Steve. Let me just explain to you what I've seen so far. I started from our Dallas office, came east on Forest, up past TI, where Dallas Fire Rescue was clearing out the road. They had just cleared that out. I talked to a security guy at Texas Instruments, and he said a quarter of one of their buildings was destroyed. I couldn't get on the property at the time, but he said, yeah, it was extensive damage at TI. I made myself my way to Greenville, where I headed north on Greenville, and basically starting at 635, heading north on Greenville, there's damage at buildings, offices, and of course what you're seeing now is me stopping at Greenville and Amberton, where there is extensive damage to this apartment complex. There was a few guys here that walked up to the apartments at the top where the roof is gone. You may not be able to see it in my shot, but the roof is gone, and they went to check to see if the people are okay. I do believe that the people are in one of these vehicles waiting for help, but they don't believe anybody is in here. As you can see, that is, if you can see my camera, that is part of the roof right there on top of that car. So there is extensive damage. I mean, this is one of the guys that decided, he lives on the other side. There was no damage to his, so he decided to walk around the complex to see if anyone needed help.
Tim, I can tell you, I know exactly where you are. That, as you mentioned, right along Amberton Parkway. That is just along Greenville Avenue before you get to Walnut, before you get to Spring Valley. In that area, that apartment complex, I've seen it well. It sits, if you will, just a stone's throw from what you just mentioned, which is, of course, Texas Instruments. And if there is confirmed damage there, as you just said, you talked to individuals there, so at least some partial damage at TI's location, at that specific location as well. And that is what is called the 75-635 corridor, where we've seen damage all night long. And Tim is showing you right now, folks, right along the Greenville Avenue area, Amberton Parkway, as you headed north, along Greenville. Your next is you head into Richardson, and you start to see if there's any indication of damage in the Richardson area. Let's go back to our weather guys, get some updates here on what we're seeing and what we've seen throughout Dallas County and beyond for the last almost 2 hours now. Scott?
And see, I'm over here in the Weather Center as well, just continue to take a look at the radar. So we have seen that damage. As you can see, let's go ahead and put links one there behind me as well, if you guys can, in the control room. We've been watching these storms make their way through. Right now, I can tell you that the only severe thunderstorm warning that we do have in effect is for Kaufman County and Van Zandt County. This is until 11:30 as I zoom in just a bit more. So northeast sides of Kaufman County, northwest sides of Van Zandt County, that's where we do have the severe thunderstorm warning until 11:30. But I know we do have some video that's coming in out of the Rockwall area of the tornado. So Jeff, I want to show that strongest winds product as well. So this is the Rockwall tornado. So you can see at night, hard to see, but the flashes of lightning there showing the tornado that moved through Rockwall around 9 o'clock this evening and continued to make its way through the Rockwall area. Violent tornado that was on the ground. Very impressive pictures there with that lightning. And this is why it's so dangerous at night, because you can't see this coming, but you can definitely see the debris cloud around that. And as we go on with this video, you're going to notice that the tornado gets larger. Right there, you can see it kind of coming to more of a cone as well, as it was picking up in some intensity as well. So this video coming in tonight for us of the tornado that moved through Rockwall. So then, as you can see from Philip Ennis on Facebook, there in the distance, kind of more of that rope tornado. This is in the Dallas area. So it did touch down near Love Field and then continue to pick up in intensity. Power flashes right there. You see that green color, the power flashes as this tornado is moving through. So that rope tornado, but still causing a lot of damage. As you can see, this was moving through the Love Field area, north sides of Dallas, and then continue to push its way off to the north and the east. So possibly this is the beginning of the tornado that you saw there in Rockwall. This is what we saw as well. So we're glad. Thank you, Philip, for sending that in. Now we're switching on over to what we look at when we are tracking these storms. And as this was pushing its way north and east, that's what we were looking at right now. So this is what we're looking at right now with the tornado that's down to the south. This is in the Kaufman County area and also the northwest sides of Van Zandt County, looking at the potential there of tightening up as well. So we do not have a tornado warning with this, but the severe thunderstorm warning continues until 11:30. We're getting seeing some reports as well of some near the Oak Leaf area in Ellis County, possibly some significant roof damage there with trees and big limbs down as well. Continuing just to back up a little bit more, we have also some reports of emergency manager in 2 miles southeast of Terrell, the Kaufman County area, large trees down blocking roads in the vicinity of I-20 and Wilson Road. So this was another storm that we were looking at as the severe storms continue to push their way off to the east. So that's where we're circling right now. You can see some of those wind reports that are showing up, also some hail reports as well. And then that's the tornado icon there that we did see the tornado warning earlier. So also seeing some hail damage from this touching down near Love Field, and then that push its way east and to the northeast. Jeff, do we have the strongest wind product that we might be able to back up and show that video that we just showed when we were looking at the tornado earlier this evening that we tracked all the way from Tarrant County? We were looking at, Jeff was really analyzing the radar, able to look at the velocity that was really coming up, and then it made its way out of Tarrant County, then continued to push its way into parts of Dallas County. So this is what we were looking at a little bit earlier with the rotation. We look for the greens and the reds, and as we put this in motion and we kind of move it a little bit more forward, still a broad rotation over DFW, the Grapevine area, near Coppell, and then right there. So let me step on out of the way just a bit more. So right in this area, there's University Park, there's Farmers Branch, the Love Field area. That's the tornado that was indicated by radar. And then as we move that forward, Jeff, so this is what we saw on the radar. This is what we were seeing, and we have the video of the Rockwall tornado. So as that moved its way closer towards Richardson and then continued to push its way north and east, we also had a couple of maybe of areas of rotation. So there's Rockwall. Let's back that up just a bit, Jeff. You're able to see the reds and the greens right there, that bright pink as well. So this was the Rockwall tornado. Not very impressive on the radar, but definitely as we were looking at it, that's what you were seeing there. So that's what we analyze, and that's what we want you at home to know as well. When we switch on over to our velocity product, you see that bright red and the green together. That's the tornado. So we saw that, we showed you that tornado in Dallas, and then also that it's pushed its way into parts of the Rockwall area and continue to make its way east into the northeast. So right in this area between Rockwall and Wiley. So Steve, that's what we were looking at. Before I come back to you real quick, let's just widen out the view, Jeff, real fast, just to show you what's going on with the current radar. If you're just now joining us, we have had a history of severe storms in North Texas. Want to point out we have this severe storm for Terrell, the Kaufman County area, northwest sides of Van Sant County, a severe thunderstorm warning until 11:30. Now seeing the cold front approaching, and we're looking back to the west now. This is the second round of storms that we are going to watch into the evening hours. We do have a tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock this morning. My biggest concern with this may be winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour. We might see some small hail with this, not really coming to a full squall line yet, but this is the cold front that is on the way, and behind that front, temperatures drop, but also your winds come up a whole lot more. So Steve, just wanted to give everyone kind of an update on the frontal boundary that's on the way. You might hear some more rumbles of thunder, but right now nothing is severe out to the west, but this is something we will watch as we go into the evening hours.
I know you will be watching. Thank you, sir. Folks, a little after 11 o'clock, if you're just joining us, as you know, there has been extensive damage throughout the Dallas core, throughout this area from northwest to northeast. We have seen damage in the Walnut Hill area of Preston Hollow, Harry Hines. We've got crews throughout the North Dallas area, northwest and northeast. In fact, most of the damage that we've seen so far in some of these neighborhoods are in the major intersection of Preston and Royal, and just to the south of that neighborhood, for example, the former president of the United States lives there. We have a statement from the spokesperson from George and Laura Bush. The quote is, "They got lucky." That they are fine. They are praying for others there because all around them in that neighborhood, there is damage. Our photojournalist Jay Johnson, for example, right at Tollway and 75, where I believe he's at the Tollway. Where exactly are you? Is it Royal Lane, or is that where you are, Jay?
I'm at Royal Lane right now and Dallas Northway Tollway, and the power's out here, and you can see a lot of trees have been uprooted. I got Miss Lee Logan here, and she was here when the storm came. Miss Logan, what exactly did you hear and see?
Well, I ran to the closet and I felt more than anything. I heard, just like they say, I heard a freight train, and the house shook, and it lasted a lot longer than I would have expected. and I could hear things happening. Fortunately, the house wasn't damaged, but as you can see, the trees are uprooted. I understand my neighbor's back patio is completely off and the fence is down. And, we just had a lot of damage to the nature.
I see we got a lot of power lines down here and power's out. How shook were when you came outside to see all this damage?
I was pretty shocked, and it's a dangerous situation, and they've barricaded our street off, thank goodness, because the power lines are down. We have signage from the toll road in our street. There are items that are strewn around that I don't know where they came from, so it was quite a bad storm here.
Well, thank you, Miss Logan. You be safe out here. Steve, I'm going to show you some of the power lines and the block off here at the tollway. Give me a second to turn around and iris up. As you can see, the crew...
Jay, as you're watching that shot, showing us that shot, I'm going to interrupt you real quick because we've got more concerns with more weather. Let's get to Scott Padgett. Scott?
Thanks, Steve and Jay. Appreciate that interview there. We want to let you know that the one storm that we were just analyzing, there now is a tornado warning for Van Zandt and Rains County. This now goes until about 11:45. This tornado, it's moving fast. This is indicated by radar. It is moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. So, again, getting a little bit further off to the east sides of our viewing area, but definitely something we will continue to track. It's going to be the small area right around 11:13, Dunbar about 11:19, Bellevue 11:28, the Bright Star area at 11:32, Alba around 11:35 as well, and Salem is going to continue to make its way near 11:40. So we're seeing it right now east and northeast of Wills Point. This is west and northwest of Edgewood and southeast of east and west and south of East Tawakoni, southeast of West Tawakoni. So you can see there we have circled that velocity product. Remember, we just analyzed that, showed you the tornado, showed you that video coming out of the Rockwall area, showed you what we saw on our velocity product. That's what we're looking at right now, and that's why there is a tornado warning that remains in effect until 11:45. It's moving really quickly off to the east, the Emory area. We're looking a little bit further up into the storm now, but still able to see this on the radar right now. So it is about 10 miles to the southwest of Emory and continue to push its way east really quickly. So this is another concern right now. You're able to see that tightly came together for us. And we're continuing to watch this thunderstorm now that has the potential of producing a tornado. This is the one severe thunderstorm that was on the south side, had a history of producing a tornado warning for us. Nothing touched down from that. We did have some reports of some damage coming out of the Kaufman County area, the Ellis County area, and now we have a new tornado warning in effect until 11:45. We do not have any reports of this on the ground at all, but I do want to point out that this is something we will continue to watch. I also want to point out the severe thunderstorm warning for Kaufman County has expired as the threat has made its way now into parts more of Van Zandt County and then into Rains County. So the northwest sides of Van Zandt County, you are under the tornado warning, and the south and southeast sides then of Rains County, this tornado warning. So this is what we are looking at right now, and we are seeing this tracking its way really quick off towards the east at 35 miles per hour. So you don't have a lot of time to go ahead and seek shelter. Go ahead and get into the lowest level of your house. Get into the most interior room. You've been hearing reports tonight of people saying, we went in, it was a small closet in the center of their house. They had that mattress ready if needed, and they saw some damage and they were safe. So we know you know what to do, but it bears repeating. Just go ahead and get away from the windows. Go ahead into the most interior room as possible, away from any windows. Put as many walls between you and the path of this tornado as possible. It is indicated by radar. We don't have any confirmation of this on the ground, but if you're just now joining us, it's going to be in the Dunbar area right around 11:17, so 10 minutes or so. It's moving quickly. Willow Springs at 11:22, Bright Star at 11:30, the Salem area at 11:35. So we are seeing this. It's a possible tornado with it, maybe some winds as well. We are seeing that winds gusting up 50, 60 miles per hour and some hail possibly up to the size of golf balls. So that's the only warning that we have right now, Steve. We have that severe thunderstorm warning and now that tornado warning for northwest sides of Van Zandt and Rains County. We also now have this line of thunderstorms coming together out to the west as the cold front moves through. If we have anything else to report, of course, we'll let you know as soon as we can.
Okay, sir. Thank you. By the way, folks, listen, 911, 311 in Dallas, the system system is working, it's operating, but people are asking, do not call 911 unless you have a life-threatening emergency at this point. For example, City of Plano is already tweeting to ask people, do not call 911 to ask when your power will be back on or when your internet will be restored. They need those lines because obviously there's real concern. You see those images right there? That's Walnut Hill and Harry Hines and Northwest Dallas, extensive damage in that area. One of our photojournalist, Lorenzo Garcia, there on the scene right now. Tell me what I'm looking at there specifically, Lorenzo.
Hey, Steve, we're still on Brockbank, just south of Walnut Hill. What you were seeing here in this, a few seconds ago, that roof is from a car wash that was about a block and a half away from this area. You're seeing extensive damage on vehicles. This neighbor here started, this resident here started doing some of the cleanup already with some of the chainsaws. Roofs from the apartment complexes from across the street, parts of the roofs are up on the trees. The cleanup has begun for some residents in this area. We are still out of power, and fire and police have been making their rounds, making sure everyone is safe in this area. This house here has some damage up on the roof from the tornado that blew through here. A lot more debris, parts of houses up on this yard. We've got some down power lines across the street, but everything, there's a lot of people walking out here and everything seems to be safe to be walking through.
I can just tell you, just from the wide scale of what we're seeing, what I call the storm corridor right now, from where you are in that sector of Northwest Dallas, all the way to northeast as you head into Richardson, you see this kind of damage, residential damage. Lorenzo, going inside, that looks like the foyer, outside, exterior foyer of that home, and you can see what so many folks have faced on this night with this confirmed tornado, at least one here in Dallas, as you heard from Scott Padgett, also one in Rockwall as well. And these neighborhoods and the residents who live in them will have to deal with this, as many of them, thousands of them, without power right now. Caroline Vandergrift, for example, is also in Northwest Dallas at Preston and Royal Lane. There has been extensive damage not only in the retail area of that intersection, but also the surrounding neighborhoods. Caroline, tell me what you have right now. I know there was a real concern about a number of people there being impacted with their cars and trees down.
That's right. We just found something pretty crazy over here. This is where you return your shopping carts at Tom Thumb. Well, that Tom Thumb is across the street, probably 3 football fields away. So this traveled quite a distance. That's how far a tornado brought it over here. Now, you can see we have these downed lines over here, 2 power poles right in a row on this street, and the lines are touching the street. This is why these streets are blocked off and shut down. They don't want people driving over in this area. Now, if we pan a little bit over here to this business, you can see this Einstein Bagels over here. These windows have been completely smashed out. Some of these poles are dangling here, just snapped in half. And this is just really typical of the damage we've been seeing across this shopping center. A lot of these storefronts have windows that are blown out. They have pieces of the roof, pieces of the siding of the buildings torn off. And we have seen a lot of massive trees down, and several of those fell on cars or near cars. Branches came in cars, so we saw a lot of smashed out windows. Now, we have seen a lot of people walking around with flashlights. It's hard to tell if people were already here shopping or just looking at damage or are coming here. Some people we've talked to are just coming here to look at damage. That is exactly what police officers and firefighters don't want you to do. If you don't need to leave your home right now, just stay inside, because again, it's very, very dark over here without power, and it's difficult to see some of these power lines on the road, and that can create a very dangerous situation. Steve?
You are exactly at that area. That is the Preston Royal Shopping Center. That's essentially on the northeast side of that major intersection there, Caroline. When you look at the retail areas, folks, that have been impacted by this tornado, right behind those retail areas that Caroline's showing you right now, homes, families, children, adults, all in that area. Those places have been impacted by this as well. That's just one area of Northwest Dallas. We've also seen the same, as we have been reporting most of this evening, also along the Northeast corridor. That is now damaged. We are told a live look in the North Dallas area where we have seen residents have to deal with the realities of when they walk outside of their homes, this is what they see: tree damage, power lines down, and then the front of their homes, in some cases, gone. This gentleman was talking a little bit earlier with one of our photojournalists. He and his family are fine, we are told. But throughout that neighborhood, first responders obviously there, checking on everybody because there's no power in most of these neighborhoods that are directly impacted. But as you can see, as we went through this neighborhood, this particular home and others, it's just a mess in many of these places. Along these neighborhoods, if you're at the Royal Lane and Preston neighborhoods, the Hillcrest and Preston and Royal Lane areas as well, and then you head to the 75, 635 corridor. There are also reports residential damage along that corridor, and including Texas Instruments, we were told earlier today, suffering some damage. Richardson, we understand there's trouble and concern in the Richardson area as well. Manuel Villela, another one of our photojournalists, on the line with us now. Where specifically, Manuel, are you right now?
I on the 1100 block of South Bowser Street and the corner of Buckingham. In the neighborhood just north of Buckingham, the neighborhood has been hit hard. Several houses have been torn apart, ripped open. Houses, the rooftops are on top of other people's houses. We have the smell of gas. When I was walking in there, I had the smell of gas, strong odor. Power lines are everywhere, are down. Everywhere down. There's no power out here at all, and tons of cable everywhere running across the place. Neighbors are out. They're out in the neighborhood. Everybody seems to be fine, but they are shaken. They are shaken and just grabbing what they can and are just standing in the middle of the street trying to wait for responders to get here. We've had some first responders here, just minimal though, trying to move a tree that has crossed over onto Bowser in order to get in to help out the people there.
Again, that is at Bowser and Buckingham. If you folks are familiar with that sector of Richardson, our photojournalist Manuel Villela reporting extensive damage in that residential area. Manuel, I know you live in there. What's the high school in that area?
Berkner High School
Berkner High School, that's right.
The closest area here. I'm sorry, Berkner High School is the closest area here to this location. I myself, with my family, kind of rode out the same storm. We're just north of this area by about a mile and a half, 2 miles, and it got pretty hairy. We were in the closet ourselves riding out this storm, and we could hear the kind of claps of thunder that were just different, and you could hear a small roar. So the result was the tornado moved south and went south from us, and it came through this neighborhood. And you can see the path. It's kind of sliced through the neighborhood, and as you could tell, just plowed huge trees down, big oak trees, snapped in half, and then obviously roofs torn off, and there's no car damage, surprisingly, just roof damage, because I guess it didn't go all the way down. But everybody's safe. That's part of the good news. Everybody's safe. Everybody's out, and they're all lingering around in the neighborhood, just kind of standing there waiting to see what's going to happen next.
Well, Manuel, I'm glad to hear that there are many people there at this point who may be indeed dealing with damage, but they are safe. And as you can see the path here, as Manuel Villela is explaining, we saw this storm literally from the 635-75 corridor there at the high five move to the north. As it's moving to the north, it is then bending to the east, and it is exactly what Manuel Villela is speaking of. That Bowser, Buckingham area is exactly along that line where we saw that on-the-ground tornado in that area. It also, of course, major impact in the Northwest Dallas area along the Tollway, Royal Lane area. Jay Johnson, another photojournalist, has been out at that location in that area as well. He's got an update for us. Jay, I know that location, 5800 Royal Lane. I know it well. My 8-year-old's best friend lives in that condominium community, so we've made calls over there. Tell me what you're seeing right now.
here residents are coming out of here. They're telling me that it's massive damage back there. Cars stacked on everything. There's obviously you can see the power's out. There's a car there that got turned around, it looks like. So this is just a lot of damage going on out here now. I'm going to try to get up in here and try to see as much as I can without getting hurt. But as you can see here, it came down, and it came down for real out here. So here, let me see here. I'm getting on in here. This is, I didn't get the name of the apartment, Steve, but I'm going on in here to see what we can see. Obviously, you can see a resident here sitting down. He hasn't left his home yet, him and his pets. I feel sorry for him. I'm going to go over here and see if we can talk to this young man. And it's just lots of tree damage. Sir, how you doing over here?
We're okay.
You guys are okay?
Yeah, we just got a busted window, but we're okay.
You're okay here?
Yeah.
So were you here when the storm came through?
Yeah. We realized that it was coming through, and everything was going off on the televisions and all. So we came down and got under the stairs down here in the stairwell, and it blew the door open, and the trees started falling, and it was crazy.
It looks like it came right over your home. I mean, what was the feeling then?
It was very terrifying at the moment. I mean, it was all of a sudden, it was just happening. It was just nothing you could do but just hear it and see the trees falling down. And luckily, we're upstairs, but we've got one broken window, and that's all. But one of the places on the back, the whole roof is blown off of it.
Yeah, I'm going to get up in there. A lot of your residents, a lot of your neighbors have kind of walked towards the main street. Are you leaving, or?
No, we've been told by the police that we could drive out, but we can't leave the property because you can't go either way on the streets. So I think we're going to just hunker down for the night here.
All right, well, be safe out here. This is Channel 11 tonight, so we appreciate you guys talking to us.
Thank you.
Steve, that's what we got going on out here. I don't know the name of this apartment complex. Let me ask this young man.
Oh, this is the 5800. It's a condo.
It's a condo?
Yeah, it's a Royal Lane 5800 condos.
Okay, there we have it. Well, thank you so much, sir. That's what we got going on here, Steve, and I'll send it back to you guys.
Jay, I want you to hold on to that shot, and that shows you just how small the world is. I am literally texting one of that gentleman's neighbors, as I mentioned to you, a personal friend. They live in those same condos. They are very, very lucky. As you know, Jay, there is a fire station house right next door to that condo. Folks, to give you some bearings, that's right at Royal and the tollway. Throughout that entire neighborhood, we have seen damage. Those folks are very lucky right now because we don't see the level of damage we see inside those gates as we've seen throughout the metropolitan area, particularly at the Preston and Royal area, which is just to the east of where Jay is showing you those images right now. As we move on, Ken Molestina is back to the west as well at Walnut Hill near the Harry Hines area, we are told. Ken, I know that we have seen a little damage in there earlier in some sectors. Fill me in. Keep us up to date on where you are right now.
All right, Steve, this is Northwest Dallas, as you mentioned. The actual cross streets here, they're going to be Monroe and Walnut Hill. I really don't even know where to begin to show you, but just walk with me, bear with me here. The first thing I do want to show you, because there was some talk about how strong the winds were. Take a look at this. That's a utility pole, Steve, completely snapped. This is the rest of it. As you can see, the length of it here, it fell over. And look at those power lines over there. Stoplight, the actual pole itself is snapped. The entire road here is blocked right now because of this pole that came over. We do have some lines off to the left of it here, Lorenzo, if we can just show people, just kind of the situation that we're dealing with here right now. We don't believe that these lines are charged, though. I should tell you that right now. There's plenty of people walking around, fire crews, police officers as well. If we can pan over just right behind you, Lorenzo, these are some of the crews, some of the firefighters that are coming. They're walking back to their fire trucks that are here on Monroe and Walnut Hill. I was told by someone here, one of the first responders, that crews are going door to door right now. They're having to hike into these neighborhoods on either side. They're going door to door and they're knocking, looking for people, looking for folks who may be trapped, folks who may need help. But look at this. I was telling you a second ago, Steve, I didn't know where to start because everywhere you look around here, 360 degrees, there's damage. This looks like it was some kind of a convenience store, maybe a 7-Eleven, guessing by the colors that you can see on the inside, but you can see it is completely collapsed. You can see all the damage there off to the side, and just off to the left of it here, If you follow me here one more time, we're not going to go too far because the police officers are asking us to stay kind of in the corner we're in. But as we turn around, and I don't know how much you can see on your TV because it is dark down that way, but there are several buildings that are also collapsed just ahead of me. I don't know, Steve, can you see that? I can see it clearly, but I don't know if you can. We can see the buildings. You can see more power lines that are down, more poles that are snapped in half. And these are the massive, the big utility poles. We see them every day. They're just snapped like toothpicks. It's been very difficult to walk around this area. A lot of folks have come out of their homes. There's no power around here. So you would expect that they would come out here. You can see some of them over here. They've got their cell phones out. They're taking pictures. They're grabbing video as well. This is really not a safe area to be. Again, you can't expect these folks to stay inside their homes right now because this is dark. I did hear some police officers, Steve. The concern now is that people might begin looting some of these businesses here. So there are two concerns going on right now from a police officer that I was able to speak to who says they're going door to door in these neighborhoods, again, looking for people who may need help, who might be trapped, but they're also trying to protect these businesses that have now been left damaged with a lot of their goods exposed out into the air, out into the open, and they're trying to keep a watchful eye as much as possible. But I'll tell you something else. Driving here, trying to get to this area, this is not the only place that looks like this. There are so many places that look like this, trees down all over, structures that have collapsed, tree limbs that are down, and I mean, just debris everywhere. There are signs, you know, street signs that typically would have the names of businesses on them. They're blown out. And if you take a look at the top part there, I don't even know. That just looks like a piece of mangled metal there on the roof of this one business here. Let me see if I can make out what that actual business sign is. That says Taqueria Carniceria Guanajuato. So it's some kind of a taco shop and a meat market, but up on top, it's got to be some of the metal, Steve, that has sort of got tossed up into the air. Anyway, that's the scene out here. Looks like a bomb went off out here. I don't know what else to tell you.
It is amazing to watch, and I know that with first responders there, their first priority is to ensure that people are safe there. Thank you very, very much, Ken. We appreciate it. We will check back with you momentarily. We're going to go back to the Royal and Tollway area. That is a live look. Our photojournalist Jay Johnson on that scene. Where exactly are you? What is that? A toppled tree I'm seeing? I mean, what is that, Jay?
Yes. That is a tree that has fallen completely on top of this car here. Real quickly here, I'm going to show you exactly the power I'm seeing out here. You can see here where it blew through a door here and just shattered that window here and the fence here. You can look up here and see the roof has been blown off up here, up there, if I can get any kind of shot there. And real quickly here, Steve, look at the power here. I've got this tree uprooted with water flowing up out of it. So it is very, very lots of damage out here. It is very dark out here, and it's very it's chaos out here right now, and we're just trying to bring it to you guys.
Listen, I know with that particular location, we have seen extensive damage throughout that area. That's one indication. Look at that, the base of that tree pulled from literally from the concrete, if not just the soil in and of itself. Obviously those water lines have been ripped as a result as well. We have plenty of concern about all of those areas. And that, again, folks, is in Northwest at Tollway and Royal Lane. Not far from that location, right at Royal and Preston, we have seen damage and people being impacted as well. Caroline Vandergriff has been there most of the evening. Caroline, talk to me about the updates you're hearing in terms of impact there.
Well, I tell you what, a lot of business owners are going to be coming to this shopping center tomorrow, very disappointed to see the extent of this damage. We're here at this dry cleaners where every single window has been blown out. You can see piles of clothes and debris inside the store. There's even a clothing rack out here on the sidewalk. You have kind of massive shards of glass just all around this sidewalk here. And inside, like I said, it's just a pile of debris and clothes. A lot of cleanup here. A lot of cleanup is going to have to happen. And if you kind of continue in this parking lot, you can see this stop sign right over here. It's almost like it was just snapped in half. I don't know if it was rooted here, but it is just all the way down on the ground, and there are just tree branches all across this parking lot. We have seen a few people walking around. A big group of people kind of passed by us, and they said they were hanging out in the Central Market because that was the safe place to be, and they were spending some time there and didn't want to leave. I think there's a lot of concern out here because it is very, very, very dark, so it's hard to tell exactly what you're looking at, what you're stepping on, and there is a lot of glass and debris around this area. So again, the message is stay home. Don't get out and walk about if you don't have to. But again, this business here with its windows blown out, we've seen this over and over at a variety of businesses in this shopping center. So there's going to be a lot to clean up in the days and weeks ahead here. Steve?
Okay, thank you very, very much. We are getting information right now from the Dallas Independent School District where those reporters are right now. I can tell you more updates on what's going to happen with those, but let's quickly get back to Scott Padgett right now and some updates on storms. Scott.
And Steve, we were just looking at the latest information coming into us here, and you can see we're getting into the edge of some of our radar scans, so we're looking a little bit higher up into the storm, but we still have this tornado warning continuing for about another 15 minutes. This is for Rains County. Here's the Emory area, and you can see as we're still looking up higher into the storm, but there was still that rotation showing up with this tornado warning that continues as this is moving its way to the east-northeast at about 30-35 miles per hour. So not really able to see it there on the reflectivity, but this is the one strongest storm that has continued to push its way east-northeast. And now you do notice that we do have severe thunderstorm warnings developing over off towards the northeast, Red River County. But I want to point out we have this line of storms now coming together. So with that, we in the northwest sides of Denton County, we do have some stronger storms. Nothing is severe with this line, but you're hearing rumbles of thunder, and you see a lot of heavy rain with this, a lot of lightning with this. So this is the northern edge as this cold front comes in. From there, we go to Wise County, stretching down to the northwest sides of Parker County, stretching then down into parts of Palo Pinto County. So from Mineral Wells to the west of Springtown, we have this line of storms that is coming together and intensifying maybe just a little bit more. So this is still about 30 miles from west of Fort Worth. So on that timing, it's going to be making its way probably the west sides of Tarrant County, maybe 12:15, so 45 minutes. I want to point out, though, as that line moves in, it's possibly going to be reaching the damage areas between 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning. So this line is coming together. This is round number 2. Right now, nothing is severe with this, but I do expect to see winds maybe gusting up to 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. And we could also see some maybe golf ball size hail to quarter size hail with this line of storms that's moving in. So again, making its way to west sides there of Dallas County about 1 o'clock. I'm thinking between about 1:30 to 2. Making its way into that northeast sides there of Dallas County where we have the damage area, possibly 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's what we're going to be dealing with as this line of storms comes in. And as we widen out the view even more, you can see it's really just filling in all the way back down towards the south and the west. This is the cold front that is moving into North Texas. And behind that front as well, we are going to be seeing winds maybe then gusting up to 50 miles per hour and temperatures dropping. But this cold front is slicing into air with today temperatures in the mid 80s for us, even the upper 80s in a couple of spots. So very warm air, moist air is in place. This cold front then slicing through that. So that's the line of storms that we are looking at. And you're probably maybe looking off to the west saying, okay, what's going on with this? Right now, nothing is severe, but the potential is there. That we could see some of those strong storms, maybe have those winds gusting up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. Still a slight to the moderate risk of severe storms into the overnight hours. And then through the east sides of our viewing area, we'll still have rain in the morning hours. But I can tell you that we have that one severe thunderstorm warning that still remains in effect with a tornado warning there for Rains County. The Emory area, please make sure that you are in your safe spot in the most interior room as possible, as that is tracking its way east-northeast. So that's the tornado warning that we were talking about. That's tracking its way on in. And then the line of storms that's going to move in. And unfortunately, that line of storms will move over the damage areas. So roofs that are off homes, They're now going to have rain coming into those homes. So I know everyone's trying to assess the damage, make sure everyone's remaining safe. But this is not a good situation when we have this line that's going to move in. So, Steve, I'm still thinking right about 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the damage area, we have this line of strong storms that will come in. Right now, nothing is severe, but we could see those winds gust up to 50 to 60 miles per hour and maybe some hail.
My goodness. Okay, sir. Thank you. Just to update you folks on a couple of things, school closings, concerns about that. We've just heard from ESD, the Episcopal School of Dallas in the Preston Hollow area, now sending out a report the school is closed because of damage on that particular campus. That is in the Preston Hollow area. I just got a report that Tyler Sagan, center for the Dallas Stars, his home also in that Preston Hollow area where our reporters are. We are told his home destroyed from this, all of this. He is safe, his family's safe. They were not home at the time. This image that you're seeing right now, this is from earlier. That is a tornado on the ground in Rockwall. You heard our meteorologist talking about this earlier, just to give you one indication of what our area has seen for the last couple of hours. That tornado, no indication of reported injuries to any individual on that particular tornado in the Rockwall area. And then we, of course, have the concern of what we saw earlier today along the 635 corridor around the 9 o'clock hour, where our meteorologist, specifically Jeff, was telling us that it was heading right into that area. And we had storm chasers, spotters. Jason McLaughlin was right on the scene at the very time this was happening.
Oh, there it is.
Hunt County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning.
It's just to my north now. It is on right over 635, and traffic is coming in both directions at this. There's debris filling the sky. Oh no, Jeff. Yeah. Oh no, here it comes. There it is, Jeff. It's in front. Oh no, it's passing 635. Oh no. Oh no. Oh goodness, it's a big tornado, Jeff. It's a big tornado.
That was right at 75 and 635, and he could feel, not only feel it, he could see it in that darkness as that tornado came right in front of him, less than a quarter of a mile. And as he rolled through to the north on 75, he was running into not only that major debris there, but to see people in their cars being directly impacted. Again, no indication of major injuries for any of those individuals. Obviously, people are still assessing it, but that was just one example of what we saw earlier this evening. And then, of course, what we saw in Rockwall. This tornado, these major storms throughout the metropolitan area, including parts of Garland. We have Pedro Barano from the Garland Police Department on the line with us now. Sir, can you update us in your area?
Yes, as of right now, the area of Shiloh and Miller has received extensive damage to structures. We have a building on the northwest corner that looks like it's been completely destroyed, which caused the debris from that building to go across Shiloh from west to east, damaging numerous homes in this residential area right now. There's several houses that have actually been destroyed, roofs ripped off, trees down on top of vehicles, and just tons and tons of debris over numerous areas in this residential area. As of right now, we have not received any reports of any significant injuries, and GP&L is out here. We have approximately 5,500 customers without electricity as of right now, and we're urging people to notify GP&L of any kind of outages, as well as to check for updates on what's going on as far as the power outages right now.
Pedro, as you mentioned, that particular location, Shiloh and Miller, that is, again, folks, if you watch what happened here earlier this evening, that north to northeastern direction of that tornado going through not only the northern tip of Dallas along the 635-75 corridor, but into Richardson and Greenville, as we saw and heard those reports, along Amerson Parkway, Texas Instruments, and then into Richardson and that Buckingham area. And now, as you've heard from Pedro Barano from Garland PD, we're talking now the Shiloh Miller area. All of that is northeast Dallas. And so much of this we have seen, these pictures you're seeing, for example, this is a live image from Richardson. Manuel Villela, our photojournalist, who actually lives not far in that neighborhood that you're looking at right now, got right on the scene and could show us the impact of what has happened here in the last hour and a half, if not 2 hours. Manuel?
Steve, yes, hi there. Hold on a second. As I'm walking through the back over here, you can see where the tornado came from. Down there, the back of the house is totally gone. Power lines, those are the power lines we were talking about. They're major power lines, and they've gone down across the neighborhood in the backside. As I turn around this way, this is the kind of the path where it took, and across the street, wiped out a fence and the front of the house over there and towards the back. Now the width of this tornado here, and there are the other houses, all pretty roof from another neighborhood across here. This guy says this is not my roof, so he has no idea where it came from, but it's hanging on his roof up there on top. There's the peak right there. So as we walk further down on this, where the width of this tornado has been, because it's still got destruction pretty much flat through all the way on this side. Large part just twisted in half. And here, this is where I believe the bulk of it was. As we come through here, you can see where this house has totally been ripped apart and is in the street, kind of just chewed up like a blender. So that's from the 1100 block of Bowser.
As if it looks, Manuel, as if it was right in the heart of that. If you look, as you just showed us, there was obviously damage to other residential properties there, but that one right there in the middle. And again, folks, that is the Bowser Buckingham neighborhood there in Richardson. As you enter the city limits of Richardson, you head east off of what ostensibly would be Buckingham or Spring Valley or what have you, would run into these neighborhoods, and that's what you're seeing tonight. And we have seen it over and over again in these locations. I can tell you that not only there in the northern section, as you move beyond Dallas into Richardson, northwest Dallas, where Ken Molestina has been, we have seen damage there. He is in northwest along Walnut Hill and Harry Hines. Let's get an update from Ken. Ken?
Yeah, Steve, we've moved up just a little bit, Walnut Hill and Brockbank now. You were talking about the damage. We're seeing it here in the darkness of the night throughout the area. You can see all the debris and just more collapsed structures, trees that have been snapped in half, utility poles. That seems to be the sight that you see around here every block that you move up. It's the same thing over and over. Right now, though, I want to introduce you to Alonzo Avila. Did I get that correct, Mr. Avila? Okay. You were telling me you were inside your house when all of this happened. What was that like? Describe that, please.
It started shaking. It felt like kind of like an earthquake. It started moving the house around and a lot of whistling, all that wind. And then you could hear like branches hitting the windows and stuff. Yeah. I thought the roof was going to fall off.
How long did it last?
It lasted like around 3 minutes.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And you had your family inside?
Yeah, we're all inside. We started running to the restrooms, to get collar and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, we're on the second floor.
Right.
We ran to the bottom.
How's everyone doing right now, to your knowledge?
Everybody so far is good. We don't see no casualties over there. But there's a lot of debris, a lot of trees. It fell over. Okay. Power lines out.
Yeah, and we understand that police and fire crews are going door to door in your neighborhood. Yeah. They're looking for people who may need help. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, because there's a lot of trees that fell into houses.
Okay, so we're right now Walnut Hill again and Brockbank, but how deep into the neighborhood have you seen crews or have you seen damage? Give us an idea.
All the way down to the other side of the street by, what you call it? Look, past the other avenue. Yeah. Past
several blocks down.
Yeah, several blocks.
Okay. And people are just out in the streets now, it looks like.
Yeah, looking to see if they can help out, move stuff.
Okay, yeah. All right. Mr. Avali, thank you very much. I'm glad you're safe. you and your family. But again, Steve, what he described is sort of what Jeff Ray was talking about when he was on the air earlier today, even on Facebook Live, when he was following the system out here, the intensity of it. And we heard about just how long the tornado had been on the ground and just how far of a path, a trajectory it took. But you just heard it from this gentleman. He said at least 3 minutes, according to his recollection, Steve.
Absolutely amazing. So glad they are fine, but obviously a lot of damage in that area. And we are seeing it over and over again throughout that part of Northwest Dallas, just to the north of Love Field. We can show you footage. I'll give you one example. Sonia Chavez Lujan, she sent us video from where she was at the very moment that all of this was happening. She says her son Joshua recorded it. This is near the Bachman Lake area, just to the north, just on the other side of Love Field. And take a look at some of this. You can see what ostensibly looks to be that tornado there. You see those dark clouds there? That is what she was focused on. See that coning aspect of it. That is what obviously concerned her and so many others in that area. Again, that is in the northwest section of Dallas, just along that same area where Ken was reporting, along that Webb Chapel, Walnut Hill, Harry Hines area. A number of people obviously concerned in that area. We were able to talk to some of them. I want you to take a listen.
It started to pour and the wind started picking up, and then the car started like shaking side to side. The window shattered.
All the trees, like the branches breaking,
and I kept
the road signs.
My foot on the brake the entire time, or I think that the car would have like flipped.
I mean, you could feel
it was shaking back and forth.
And all the power died. Oh my God! It was just a power line. Power line. No, Danny.
Let's go inside. Let's go inside.
Flew around like. Oh my God, I lost my glasses too. These glasses are from a restaurant inside. I'm the chef. I was getting off walking through my car.
Is that how your uniform ended up?
Yes. This is what happened. And oh my God, I was so, and my arm still hurt me because those poles was kind of smashing me up, and it's really, really bad.
Were you trying to walk to your car?
I was trying to walk through my car because I saw only little wind when I was walking out, and it started to come out so hard, and I'll try to walk back to the restaurant. I can't make it. I hit the poles a couple of times, like bang, bang, bang. So my children right here, I just got one of my employees to help me to pop the joint right here, but it was bad. I was scared. I was so bad. My glasses flew.
Again, just some examples of the many people who were caught in the middle of all of this. Thankfully, all of those people are safe tonight, obviously concerned about their property, other loved ones, and we are still getting these updates throughout these areas. But we've got more storms headed this way. Scott Padgett now with more on what we're seeing right now. Scott?
And Steve, as we were tracking these storms earlier for you, at that point, nothing was severe, but the potential was there. And now we do have severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect now until 11:45. This does include Tarrant County, Denton County, Wise, and Parker for this line that is now intensified even more. So when I see a line like this to come together, my main concern more are straight line winds, maybe winds gusting up to 50, possibly 60 miles per hour. And the National Weather Service has watched this, and we've been looking at this, and we are seeing these storms that have intensified just a bit more. There is this thin green line that's out ahead of the main complex of storms. That's an outflow boundary that is out ahead of this line that has come together and where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings right now. So we've switched on over to our high resolution velocity product. You can see these winds possibly gusting up to near 55 to even 65 miles per hour. So that is all going to continue to make its way on in. And when you have that leading edge there, that's what we have to be concerned about even more, are those winds that are going to be possibly the biggest damage producers when we have this line come together. That's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning that now is in effect and will remain in effect until about 11:45. We're tracking this to the east, I think probably around maybe 25 to 30 miles per hour, Jeff. So good call there. And as we're looking at this, the Pelican Bay area around 11:49, Dicey 11:50, Azle about 11:51. So a few minutes for you. That leading edge will come on in. The Keller, the Saginaw area, we're going to be starting to hear the rumbles of thunder again. And then those winds really are going to be gusting up for you. So if if you have any of those objects or anything that's in the backyard that might get blown around easily, go ahead and make sure that you have moved that already inside. You have a few minutes there. This is not a tornado warning, but just a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 12. It looks, I think it was 12:15 for us, Jeff, or 12:30. We're still 12:45. Sorry about that. 12:45 as that is making its way to the east. So this is the one area right now that does include parts of the Metroplex. You have time right now in a lot of Tarrant County, just the far northwest sides. We do have see the storms that are moving in. If we can take Sky 2, if we're looking off to the west as well, you'll be able to see that at times we've seen some of the lightning as we're looking off to the west of those storms that are moving in. So here, this is our Fort Worth sky cam. You see they're off in the distance. You'll see some lightning flashes there off and on. So those are the storms as we're looking out west as they're going to be moving their way on in at around about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So we are continuing to keep our eyes on that line of storms and these new severe thunderstorm warnings as well. Widening out the view even more, want to point out that as this moves its way on in, we're showing you, and Jeff is circling right now, the damage area near the Love Field as we've been talking about the Richardson area, Garland, the Saxe area as well. We've continued to bring you those reports as well. We are going to see this severe line of storms, if it holds together, get closer towards the damage area, possibly between about 1:30 to 2 o'clock. So with that, we're going to be seeing a lot of heavy rain and possibly those winds that are going to be gusting up to maybe 50 miles per hour. It's still, that leading edge is about 36 miles to the west of where we saw the tornadoes touch down in north sides of Dallas County. If we can, real quick, Jeff, just widen out the view even more, because on the southwest side of the line, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings as well down near the Stephenville area. As we move this radar over just a bit more, we have that south side of the line, severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 12:30. Same threats as well, maybe winds gusting up to 50 to 60 miles per hour as that south end moves in even more. So we'll keep our eyes on this. What you need to watch for, and as we're going to analyze this as we continue to bring you more news of all the damage tonight, is if we see any section of this line start to move out a little bit faster than the forward movement of the line, that's where we can see those winds getting up even higher, maybe causing some damage for us, maybe winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. Right now, not really noticing that, but we'll keep our eyes on this. We want to point out we do have that severe thunderstorm warning right now, Denton County, Tarrant County, Wise County, and Parker County until 12:45. So, Steve, this is the second round that we were mentioning. It was going to be coming in as the cold front moves through, and unfortunately, it's going to move right over the area that was hit hard tonight.
Okay, sir. Listen, folks. Regardless of where you are in the metro area, you probably know someone, if it's not directly impacted you or your family, in Northwest Dallas, Northeast Dallas. Richardson, for example, right now, our photojournalist Manuel Viela, he's been at the Bowser and Buckingham area in that neighborhood. There has been extensive damage there as well. Manuel joining us from Richardson now, I'm told, with more about what he's seeing there. Manuel?
Yes, we have Nora here, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about what went on as she was going in this house. Just one note here, if I'm going to show you real fast, this is from a roof from across the street that has gone into her car and has basically disappeared it. So we're going to talk to Nora here in a second. Here, okay. So, talk to me a little bit about what was it like?
Oh, we were all in the room. I was just about getting ready to go to work this night, and I called my brother to take me to my job. Then all of a sudden we heard a noise. Because I've heard of tornado, but I haven't experienced it before. So we're all scared. So we all ran into the bathroom. My brother said we should all go into the bathroom.
So we went into the bathroom.
Then as we were in the bathroom,
we had a baby.
in the other room, the guest room.
We have to run in there and grab the baby before we heard the sound of that one.
Can you show me? You were showing me in your house what happened. Can you show me what had happened? What is in the house is that we were in it before, and you could tell that they took a brunt hit. Straight line winds or whatever it was literally pushed the garage door and the garage stuff into a room.
and they have it locked up here for a second, but maybe I'll get here. Let me show you a little bit about the force. This is part of the roof from the neighborhood across the street, the neighbor across the street. And there's an idea. This is why you need to take cover right there. These things become spears, they become just projectiles. And if you're outside, it could do some damage for you. And if we look up, that's the other part of the roof from this house that we just got into. And here, so here we go. She's going to back where the garage is.
I have a daycare.
And I'm going to show you. You show me. I think the garage is right here. There we go. Here. You see all the insulation and stuff that has come through the walls, through the garage, and just blew out. Here we go. The garage, and was stacked in here nicely. Was kind of, and then here's the ceiling, and then obviously the sky, because the rest of the roof is gone. It's across the street. So this is amazing here. This is what's been pushed out like a beer can. Somebody punched it and just literally pushed it in. This is a metal door. And once again, no more roof. And everybody miraculously was fine. Nobody injured in this house at all, which is the best part about all this. We're here, and let's come through here, and we show you one. I'm going to come right here and show you maybe.
Okay, Manuel, I know your signal's breaking up a bit, and I want to make sure that people understand where you are in that area. As you look at those images, just one resident, one homeowner in that area that was impacted by all of this. That is in the Richardson area, extensive damage throughout that neighborhood. Those folks are fine. Also in the Lake Highlands, Northeast Dallas area, we've seen damage there. District 10 City Council Member Adam Magoo. Mr. Magoo, I know from everything from Hamilton Park to Lake Highlands there in the Richland College area, we have heard about reports even up to TI. That is your area. Talk to me about what you've been able to assess right now.
Yes, Steve, we're seeing just really unbelievable damage. You've seen pictures of the Home Depot that's been really totally and completely destroyed. We first got calls from the Hamilton Park community, specifically in one of our streets on Oberlin, where we have a lot of seniors, so wanted to get out and check. First and foremost, the priority is taking care of the people and the lives and making sure that we're okay. So we're out checking, doing welfare checks, but every time we take another street, there's more damage. There's trees hanging on power lines. There's a lot going on out here. And, of course, there's a lot of people trying to get out and see all that's going on, and we want to have people stay safe throughout this whole thing. So I just can't say enough about the work of our first responders and how they're checking. And there's just a lot happening. We won't really see what's going on until the sun comes up.
I just want to interject real quickly, Adam, on that. You mentioned something so people can get their bearings about where this damage is. You mentioned the Home Depot. You're talking right there at Forest Lane and 75, which is just not even a quarter mile from that Hamilton Park neighborhood. We're talking the same location, correct?
Correct, right across the street, basically.
That is amazing. For folks, if you're not familiar with that location, a police officer was shot and killed at that location just over a year ago. And tonight we're hearing reports that that place has been destroyed by this storm, be it straight line winds or the tornado. And just to the north of that location at Forest Lane and 75 is the historic Hamilton Park neighborhood of Lake Highlands. And there are still, hundreds, if not thousands of people who live there, ostensibly those who are the original homeowners and residents of Hamilton Park, many of them seniors. I know that you said DPD and others have been up in that area. Can you talk to me a little bit about what the damage you have been able to see and if they've been able to ascertain if you have any kind of real injuries there?
Well, so far we've got all good reports as far as no injuries. Hamilton Park is an amazing community, and people are out checking on each other, moving tree limbs already as we speak. But there's still a lot of seniors that are in their homes, and again, tree limbs on cars and on trees and homes. And we're just trying to start getting an idea of where those addresses are so we can get people to come help as soon as we can.
If you talk about Campanella Street and some of the others there along the Hamilton Park subdivision, you're talking, folks, right at Central Expressway, right before you get to the 635 High 5 corridor, just to the east. You will see that neighborhood, as Mr. Magoo pointed out, also that Home Depot at that location. That is another indication of where what we have, obviously our meteorologists have talked about, that tornado coming through that area and impacting not only that business, but obviously concern for neighbors and residents. Let me ask you real quickly, Adam, while we have you on the phone, have you checked the other neighborhoods? I know I mentioned Richland College, for example, up along the Abrams, Walnut area. As you cross over into Richardson, have you heard any reports of damages in that area as well?
So I've got people on the streets and neighbors that have called and texted me and given me updates. I haven't seen with my own eyes the damage up there. There's some. I have seen at Dallas Lutheran School. Looks like maybe their entire roof may have been come off. The Stoltz Road neighborhood has a lot of tree damage as well. So it's the area is closest to 75 and heading north in that direction. It looks like it kind of followed the pathway from down where the Village Church was all the way up to TI in this area.
That's Adam Magoo, District 10 City Councilman, primarily in the, again, the Hamilton Park, Lake Highlands area. Thank you for your time. We'll check back in with you if we can. We're going to move now just to the west of that area as you go along to the west from Royal Lane over into the Tollway, Dallas North Tollway and Royal area. Photojournalist Jay Johnson in that location as well, where we have seen more indications of damage, and then we're looking at it right now. Jay, tell me where you are specifically.
I am at the, how you doing, Steve? I'm at the 5800 block of Royal and Preston here, and I am behind Station 41, Fire Station 41, and this is the damage you're looking at here. It looks like they lost an antenna here and a bunch of roof structure here that looks like it's down. As you can see, this is right in front of 5800 Royal Oaks condominiums. So this is, I'm in the backside of the Station 41 with the damage here. Luckily, no injuries right here in this area. I'm going to take you also here to the complex of some of the damage that's really going on this way here. As we go this way here, we see residents coming out with their pets and everything. Hope everything is good there. We're going to go here, and you can see more structural damage here, more roof damage on this end here. And everybody's just kind of in shock of how quick it came and how much damage it did.
Okay, Jay, thank you very, very much. Before we transition, I want to update for folks who are concerned about school closures as a result of some of these storms. We are now hearing from the Dallas Independent School District the following, because of the severe weather, a number of these campuses, we are told, with extensive damage. The following schools will be canceled tomorrow. They include Cigaroa Elementary School, Pershing Elementary School, Cary Middle School. All of those are in the northwest sector of the city, including Thomas Jefferson High School, which is right there on Marsh and Walnut Hill, also in northwest Dallas. Walnut Hill Elementary School also canceled. And by the way, folks, my 8-year-old will not be going to school tomorrow because of these storms, because he attends that particular school, Walnut Hill. We were concerned about damage in that area as well. Folks, you are looking at a live shot there at Tollway and Royal Lane in the northwest sector. We have seen extensive damage through the residential areas and the retail shopping centers. We understand Caroline Vandergriff is there at Preston and Royal, where we have seen the impact of this storm throughout the evening. Caroline?
Yeah, we're a little bit down the street from those shopping centers at the front of Fire Station 41. And this is what you can see here. The roof of the fire station torn right off. You can see these piles of bricks and debris surrounding that fire truck. Now, we actually talked to the firefighter who was driving that rig. He said they were actually leaving for a call when the wind started to pick up. He quickly reversed back into the fire station. He said everything just started shaking, and when it was all over and they opened the doors, this is what they saw around them. So it's just a crazy sight out here. If you look across the street from this fire station, we'll turn you around this way, you can see all these trees just lying on the ground, and they just are splintered at the top. It's just branches and trees all over this road, leaning on these lines here and just covering block after block after block. You just see these splintered trees. The damage is pretty unreal. Just as we keep walking further and further, we just keep seeing it. It just really doesn't end. And like I said, as we're talking to people, a lot of people who are in their cars describe this shaking of this storm as it passed through, this tornado. And that noise, of course, is something we also keep hearing over and over again. But no injuries in this firehouse, no injuries that we have been made aware of. There is some talk that another storm is going to be rolling through here in a little bit, so that's making people a little bit nervous. But we'll, of course, keep an eye on things out here. Steve?
Okay, thank you very much. I know extensive damage there, and that is not the only place when we talk about Northwest Dallas. Our Ken Molestina, he has been just to the west of where Caroline is now, over in the Walnut Hill, Harry Hines area. Last talk with you, you're over off of Brock Bank. You're still in that area right now, Ken?
Yeah, still in the area, Steve. What we're doing now is we're actually making our way into the neighborhoods that I was talking about. We were off the Main Street Walnut Hill, but again, we're making our way into the neighborhoods now to get an assessment of what's going on here. And I came across Victor here. Victor, you were also inside the house when all of this happened. First of all, you just had a gas leak that they had to come and cap, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, talk a little bit about the damage to your house and just what this was like.
The experience was awful. We were inside, and it was just like out of a movie. You know, we heard this weird, this strong wind, and we didn't know it was a tornado, and this would happen. And our fence from the back, it was completely destroyed.
Right. And you saw the fire crews going house to house. They were checking on people.
Yes, they were checking. Okay. They were checking to see if we were okay.
Right. And right now, we don't know of any injuries right now at this time. Have you heard
I
of
know
any?
of, no. Okay. There were no injuries, no deaths, no fatalities, anything.
And I mean, when you see your block outside of your house, by the way, you just moved to Dallas a couple of weeks ago.
Yes,
when you see the damage in your neighborhood now, what goes through your mind?
It's like it could have been us, you know. Could have been us. Luckily, it was not us. Unfortunately, it's sad that this happened to the neighbors in front of our house.
Yeah.
But it's a natural thing, and you know.
Hard to believe the destruction, though.
Yes.
Victor, thank you very much. I'm glad you're safe.
Yes.
I'll let you get back to your family and your friends and tending to what's going on in your house. Steve, before we send things back to you, I wanted you to kind of walk and talk with me here for a little bit because, again, as I was telling you, we were out about 4 blocks away from where we are now. Couldn't really get into the neighborhood, but this is the first opportunity that we have to get inside here and show you what this particular street looks like. Let's pan up over here, Lorenzo, up to the top here. And again, these are the kind of signatures that I'm sure people are going to study tomorrow morning when they try and gauge just how strong the tornado was. But you see the trees there, you see the limbs. They are just completely snapped up top here. The limbs are littered all over the street here. And if we come across here to the right-hand side, across the street here, I want you to take a look at the tops of these what look like 2-story townhomes. That's been completely ripped off, the top as well. You've got exposed beams out there. You've got a partial collapse on one side of it, and the entire roof line that goes stretches about a quarter of a block for these particular townhomes. That's been ripped off. That's been taken off. So as you can see, a lot of debris out here. There's going to be definitely a lot of cleanup. But again, Steve, from our end, this is the first opportunity that we have to start getting into these neighborhoods. And this is kind of what they look like every single block that you go to, Steve.
Okay, sir. Listen, you can't see it, Ken, but folks at home can. The image to the left, that is there also in Northwest Dallas, right at Preston and Royal. Individuals who live in that condominium unit, a number of those units right across the street, literally right next to that fire station that Caroline Vandergriff was talking about. That is right next door. People being moved out of those areas, as our weather meteorologists have talked about, concerned about more rain coming. And right there at that location, for example, they have to get people out of there. Obviously, there's substantial damage to some of those units, if not more, than we've seen over the night. And so it looks to be as if people are being moved out of that area. That is a live shot of our camera crews there on that location right now. Scott Padgett, we're going to send it back to you real quickly, but you can see right in that core and that corridor, it's been a horrible night for a lot of folks.
It has been a horrible night, Steve, and unfortunately we do have more storms now moving into the Metroplex, and this line of storms was round 2 that we've been forecasting for a number of days and we knew would be making its way into parts of North Texas as we went into the overnight hours. So now we're looking at a number of severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. We talked about the first one, Denton County, for the Tarrant County area, southeast sides now of Wise County, also into Parker County until 12:45. This section of the line is moving to the east, southeast, right around about 35 miles per hour. We now have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Grayson County, Fannin County. Looks like also the north sides of Collin County for that segment of the line. And as we widen out the whole entire view, you can see all the way down the whole entire line. There are sections that are under severe thunderstorm warnings as well. The whole entire line moving to the east, possibly 35, 40 miles per hour. So we're going to track certain sections for you. And it looks like, Jeff, we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning that's issued. And unfortunately, that severe thunderstorm warning right in the area that saw the tornado earlier. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 1:15 for that line that is moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. This is right in the area that saw the damage from the tornadoes earlier this evening. So that's pushing its way east at about 35 miles per hour. We'll give you a couple of cities here. So if you can pass on the word as well, I know power is out. Just try to get the word to everyone that's in the area that was damaged as well, and our first responders. But the leading edge will be in Little Elm pretty much now. Same story with Watauga. Southlake right around 12:12. Louisville 12:14. The Colleyville area 12:15. Frisco right around 12:20. Now, the biggest concern with this as the line is moving in is that we're dealing with winds possibly up to maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour. So we're sampling some of the strongest winds right now, and some of these winds might not be making their way all the way down to the ground, but it definitely shows the intensity of the storm. And we have winds near 50 miles per hour between Pelican Bay and down to near Lakeside. You can see there that box that just popped up on the screen. That is our Fort Worth sky cam. It is shaking just a little bit as we have that outflow boundary as well, getting a little bit closer to that. But near Weatherford and just to the southeast of Millsap, possibly winds near 77 miles per hour. Now, again, some of these might not be making their way all the way down to the ground, but we could be dealing with some straight line wind damage from these storms that are now under severe limits. So that's been the biggest threat, are these winds that cause possibly gusting up to maybe 60 miles per hour, slightly higher than that. And then also we can't rule the chance of maybe some quarter-size hail. That's what we're looking at right now with this north section of the strongest winds, a little bit further down to the south and the west. But we now have that severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect till 1:15. That does include the north sides of Dallas County, does include Rockwall County, Collin County as well, and the west sides of Hunt County. Now, you have some time before these storms will be in your area. But again, right here, the north sides of Dallas County, where we've been showing you the damage all the way from parts of North Dallas, Royal Lane area, stretching up to near the Richardson area, Rockwall as well, close to Saxe. That leading edge is to about 15 miles to the west of the west sides of the damage. You can't see one of our